Are we live? Okay.
Yeah, we should be. I'm just waiting for my YouTube window to catch up so I can show that it's indeed running. Oh, my YouTube. Oh, there we go. Have to hit the mute button real quick. All right. So, welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined by our special guest. Uh, it's Karl, right? Stephan.
Yep.
And
Karl Stephan.
AKA Chubb. Why did that not go
Less confusion with the nickname.
through?
Yeah, I found. How are you doing, Wyman?
Oh, good. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. It's
Awesome.
actually quite warm here today, so
Yeah,
might go for a walk later.
I thought I heard there was some kind of mix-up uh, between your name and another CG creator.
Oh yeah, Carlo Rowe, because we come from the same part of the world. Well, he's in a different country, but he's also, a virtual stone's throw away from where I am. A few 200 miles, I think,
Right.
at most.
Awesome.
Hey, Stat.
Welcome. Where is the... Oh, all right. There it is. All right. Yeah, so we are... I noticed that I can kind of, by having a YouTube window open, it gives me a little more flexibility in terms of promotion and putting messages in chat, because YouTube doesn't have a huge connection with me putting a lot of messages in, but things like Periscope does. So
Periscope. I've never heard that. I've heard of that.
it's
Is that like...
well, it's another social media platform. It sort of reminds me of Instagram. I haven't used it a whole lot, but some people in Hollywood use it. And are you at all familiar with Scott Adams?
Scott Adams,
the author of
Dilbert?
Yep.
Yeah. Him. He's been targeted by a lot of people quite recently. I remember. I think it was Bill Sienkiewicz has been giving him a lot of hell, and everybody's been. That's the last I saw of that. Yeah. What? Why?
Why have they been targeting him?
It's got something to do with BLM or something like that. He wouldn't endorse it, and then they just he got called out, and you know what it is. It's like everybody's got to have everybody has got to say the same thing and have the same understanding of everything. Otherwise, they're a pariah and an enemy. You know, it's not cool.
Yeah, I mentioned it because Scott Adams is very active on Periscope. So he does all kinds of videos. Like he does like kind of like these videos where you join him for a cup of coffee, and then he just talks about stuff in the news, and it's kind of interesting. I've seen a few of his shows. I should probably check him out more, but I just thought it was interesting that I'm not even sure if he still does Dilbert or if it's still in publication, or maybe it's in oh man, what's the term where things like...
Well, I mean, who reads newspapers anymore? You know, that's the problem. But I mean, he's so big. He's had a cartoon show. I think more people read Dilbert than all. You know, he's got a much bigger audience than any superhero title. He's a huge name. He's at a show. He's at everything. Everybody knows Dilbert. So even if he isn't being published anymore, just the sale of the anthologies, media rights, and things like that, you know, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. You won't get another Scott Adams anytime soon. anymore ever again, probably.
I thought his TV series ended or got canceled or wasn't picked up for renewal. But I could be wrong. Is it? Have you still seen episodes?
No, I saw them years and years ago. See, I don't watch TV. I don't keep up with
Yeah.
stuff like that because everything has become a plethora of different outputs from different media providers and content providers. So it isn't like you just sit in front of the TV and flick through your 10 channels, all the cases, and you think that you've got like an idea of what's going on. There's so many different outlets now. I mean, there could very well be a Dilbert cartoon floating around made by some independent broadcast, Amazon, Netflix, whatever the case may be. I wouldn't know about it because I don't subscribe to those things.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, I haven't watched TV in like 10 years or something.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't. Not that I don't think there's anything of value on there. It's just that there's so much of it, and you prioritize your time. You know, if I was watching as much TV as I did as a kid, I wouldn't be doing comics now. There wouldn't have been any time.
Yeah.
You know, I just all your spare time goes into promoting yourself, into drawing, into getting stuff out there. So it's give and take. It really is that. You know, especially when you become a parent, you know, then even more so.
Oh
Yeah.
That's got to be a challenge too, because you're juggling parenthood and all the responsibilities therein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what your priorities are with that. You know, it's always your kid.
Mm-hmm.
So if then you must be willing to you drop everything at a moment's notice, and you know that's how it is. But that's just that. So TV is on a very, very low sort of rung. One day I'll catch up. I've actually got a list of shows I'd like to watch one day when I retire. So it's like my retirement entertainment plans is quite healthy. Yeah.
So can you name some of the programs you'd actually be interested in catching?
I really want to see Stranger Things because I'm a bit of an 80s nut. Yeah, that looks great. The soundtrack, I love the soundtrack. I got a general gist of what it's about. And it looks like a massively cool throwback series. And everybody who watches it says, yeah, it'll make you very nostalgic. It'll make you you won't know why. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I love that. That'll do it for me. Let's see. Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Haven't watched any of that. Want to see that. The Sopranos. Watched a few episodes. I thought they were really good.
Oh, all right.
And I've heard of some of the arcs and things. Game of Thrones, no. Like I've kind of watched that by proxy. See, my wife is a big fan of that.
Oh, really?
She's got all the books. She's watched it, and I've just kind of like while I'm working, I can just hear what's being said and stuff. And yeah, I don't think it's something too much castration going on there for me to be interested in. And castration and all sorts of other. I'm like, this is just it's just too much. Don't feel entertained by this.
What were her views on the 8th season, the 8th and final season that was only like 3 or 4 episodes?
Oh, that'll just be repeating what my wife said, and she said it's felt rushed. You know, because of the books. Apparently, the book hadn't come out. Well, there isn't a book for that. For the last season, they went beyond the book. And somebody, so yeah, she says it didn't feel like it fit with the rest of it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just repeating what people more into it thought about it.
Gotcha. Statistical Zero mentioned that Scott Adams is shooting back in his comics.
Is he? Good.
Cool.
I gotta, now the thing is, I never knew Scott Adams was, against. Like, I've got to pick up Dilbert now because, I didn't know he was one of us, one of the people fighting the machine. I had no idea. So yeah, I'll have to go look. But there was some. Sorry.
Go ahead.
There was some argument. I think Bill Sienkiewicz, who's obviously a good artist, he is. Whether he's whatever his politics, I can recognize when somebody is a good artist. He is good. He's obviously very good. He challenged Scott Adams to a draw-off, you know, and I'm like, Scott Adams doesn't draw like you, Bill. There's no comparison there. There are different levels of appeal, and he knows that completely. You know, he knows he's being completely disingenuous by proposing something like that. He's not going to draw a mega epic fantasy scene and try and you want him to come on to you want him to accept the challenge and to humiliate himself.
Right.
You know, how about you, Bill, draw a 4-panel cartoon and make it funny and make it appealing and make and make it poignant and trenchant? How about you do that? Can you do that? Are you a writer? No. So you know, it's one of those things where it sounds on the face of it looks like you know, it sounds virtuous. Let's settle this with guns at dawn. But the other guy's got a cannon.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not what it is.
Yeah, two totally different styles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two totally different styles.
And he retweets it to all his fans, so everybody sees this and sharpen their knives for Scott Adams. And you know, we've been through this so many times already. It's not worth.
Yeah, it's like reminiscent of the Wild West, where you challenge someone to high noon, draw your revolver, whoever survives. It seems kind of pointless, unless it was just like some huge joke, but it doesn't sound like it was.
You know, that's it. I think like that whole thing about never meeting your heroes. I mean, I thought Bill Sienkiewicz is a awesome artist. He's a brilliant illustrator, but everything that he's been going on about in this last while has really just turned me cold towards his work, you know. And I kind of realized that, you know, there are probably people who enjoy my stuff, and they go, oh, they probably turn them off my work too, and I'm kind of aware of that.
What? Turning on you?
Yeah. Well, no, we're not turning, because I think Comicsgate is my primary audience. So I mean, my entire audience is probably Comicsgate or Comicsgate friendly. But I would imagine that there are a lot of people who would look at my stuff and go, you know, this is really good or whatever. And I've heard it's good, but that guy is an asshole. I can't support an asshole. You know, so I can totally see that happen. So, you know, I think I'm just like, in a way, you're shooting yourself in the foot. In another way, I want to work in a society where we can enjoy and appreciate art without overt propaganda, you know.
Yeah.
And that's important too. That's why I draw the line in the sand and say, listen, I want to be able to make comic books with themes any themes that I want, things that I think serve the story, things that I think will entertain my audience, things that I want to say. And, you know, why not? Why can't I do that? Why do you have to stick your fingers into everything? You know, I wouldn't. I mean, if I had to choose between being a maligned creator and still having an audience, and having a much bigger audience and having to toe some sort of line and say things that I don't mean, or you know, change things that I really wanted to say, express myself differently, I don't think it'd be very. I'd go for the former, or I wouldn't do comic books at all. You know.
Right, exactly.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Oops.
I see. It's almost at £17,000, at least dollars. I don't keep track of the dollar numbers.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty impressive. This is your first book, right? Or actually,
yeah.
It's
my first crowdfunder. But yeah, the backer numbers are steady, which I really like. You know, that's the important bit to me. It's getting out under. A lot of people are reading it, and I think a lot of people will be interested in picking up the second one.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of good reviews from YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
And 16,971. That is. Oh wait, was there another one? 16,000.
There must have been another one.
Maybe.
It must have been.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just like, okay, while we were talking. That's awesome.
So
Yeah, there was. Awesome.
Maybe I forgot to refresh prior to checking this morning. So you're literally $5 away from 17,000. That's wild. So
That's great.
you're almost at 20,000 by golly. 493 backers. Yeah, so it went up one since the last time I viewed it or refreshed it. That's pretty cool.
I think that's partly because I put on the T-shirts, the T-shirt tab.
Yeah.
So a lot of people. That's something I didn't offer from the beginning of the campaign. That's just something I really wanted to do, and people are jumping on that. So I think I've sold about 30 or so far. So but not all of them through Indiegogo. A lot of them I've just sold through PayPal.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, the fees are lower and everything, but it's just more of a pain to coordinate. So I thought, well, first of all, if you put something, I also find that what I thought would happen, and which did happen, is that if you introduce changes to your campaign, it kind of draws attention back to your campaign, and people start supporting the campaign itself. The other tiers as well. So it has like a spillover effect.
Oh.
So that's been happening. Yeah. I was going to say. So with the T-shirts, it was just something that it's I'm doing this the old school sort of way. Everything is done with screen printing. So it's nice. It's a nice big format. Let me just show you over here. One for the audience. I should probably have taken this down. Well, I should probably take one out before. But let me just stand up. I am wearing one of these. So it's a nice big format T-shirt. Screen printed with 2 plates. And it looks really old school. It's got a nice thick gummy print. Sort of stuff that you'd see at punk concerts in the 80s. And I just really wanted to do that because that's kind of where my comic is. It's like a throwback sort of thing. So I just wanted to do something on brand like that. It's more difficult because I had to get a printer, get in touch with everybody beforehand, ask them, so what's your size, so that I have some basic idea of how many I should order of each. And through the process of all this, I found out that most of my backers are big burly blokes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hardly ordered any smalls and mediums there. It's all large, extra large, and 2XL, and I got some 3XL as well.
Oh, okay. But you haven't had to go as far as 4XL or 5XL?
I don't even think there's a 4XL on the European charts.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Not on the chart that I got from the printer. I think there's a special. Yeah, that'll be like a special sort of size. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you can get that in this particular kind of shirt.
Statistical Zero is asking, is there a second campaign coming next year?
The goal, what I would really like to do is launch it before the end of this year. Start funding, but there's also like a golden sort of rate. There's a no-go area, and I think it's somewhere in December where people start getting closer to Christmas. So if I don't launch it, say before the end of November, maybe possibly a bit earlier than that, then I'll hold off until January, maybe February before I launch it. Just to avoid that whole thing where people are maxing out their cards and stuff, to do Christmas shopping. So we see.
I had a feeling that's what you meant by the no-go zone.
Yeah.
I mean, people have mixed ideas on it. Some think it's a good idea because, while they've got shopping on their minds and they're looking for things that are unique, gifts that they can give loved ones, they might decide to, back a campaign.
I think if a campaign, if they're shipping straight out, yes. if the whatever it is done,
Yeah.
and you can get something physically to give your loved one, you know, if it can get delivered before Christmas, then yeah, I'd say yeah, that would help your campaign. But if it's something you're going to be producing
Uh-huh.
later on down the line, then I don't know. No, I don't think so. No. There's
Yeah,
the tactile thing. Here's your gift. You know, hold it in your hands, sort of thing.
it's a mixed bag. I mean, this sounds cheesy and corny, but if you did order something for a loved one that was part of a campaign that hadn't been fulfilled yet, uh, you could
Yeah, I know.
you could print
Or
off
just not fulfilled. Period.
a receipt, stick it in an envelope, or a Christmas card, and go. All right, here's what I got for you, but you have to wait a little bit till it fulfills. You know, kind of like when Star Wars: A New Hope was released in theaters, they didn't have uh, the toy line prepared, so they ended up mailing off a box displaying what the figures would look like, or I think it might have even been sketches of what the action figures would look like, but it was like an IOU kind of thing. Um,
Right.
so I don't know. There might be some people out there silly like that. Uh,
Okay. That's novel. Yeah, but okay. I automatically think of postage. You know, because that's my mindset now. Everything. How much is that going to cost to post? And then you have to pay that all again when you do ship it out.
right,
But I guess they got deep pockets, and those things aren't cheap at the same time. So
right.
yeah.
So what? Let's see. Now, for a second campaign, do you have plans to do one of those early sign up mailing list things
Yeah.
that a lot of campaigners are doing?
Definitely. That is the sort of early marketing stuff that you hear about that you should be doing, and it's good that Indiegogo have got that built into the system now to
Oh yeah,
save you. So I wanted to launch my mailing list as soon as I've got some arts ready. I've got a what I want to do this time with the campaign. With the previous campaign, I had a tier with prints. I want to get at least 2 of the prints done to get people just an idea what things are going to look like before I launch their mailing list. So that can be like the banner of the mailing list, and to get people excited about it. Yeah, I think I'll do that.
well, that's pretty cool.
Um,
Sounds like a good.
Saltwater Fish Fan, 2004. Hello, how you doing, dude?
Oops, I clicked off it. Yeah, Saltwater Fish Fan, 2004. Hey, howdy, how's it going? Let's give you a hail.
Yeah, so like I just it's just getting things lined up now. I think last time we spoke about preparation for what's the process for doing a comic, and how I prepare for that. I've been doing the thumbnails and page breakdowns and things for one of the longer stories, and I just have the rest still to do. So that's coming along quite nicely. There's just a lot. There's just a lot that goes into it that I just need to put time aside for. But it's happening. And in the meantime, I'm still dealing with sales and queries and things. I'm glad I've got the T-shirt sorted out now, so that's on the campaign, and you know that mechanism is kicked in where people can just order it, and we just ship it straight out. So now I can focus back on the comic books again.
Oh, sweet. That's a good one.
Mm.
Excuse me. You're gracious. Fantastic. Let me double check something. Yeah, it's still here. Cool. I'm on and off. I try and do additional promotion for the books that I'm advertising and stuff. All right. So Yeah, you're at 16,995 USD, which is really awesome. It seems like there's so many worthy projects on Indiegogo, uh, Comicsgate wise, uh, and otherwise, I guess. So there's lots of competition, and it seems like so many of them are lucky, are just plain lucky if they can get past like 3,000 or 5,000. So
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. That's what gets me when the common allegations of Comicsgate is basically, oh, you're just doing this because you want to make money out of this. And I'm like, you don't follow Comicsgate projects at all, do you? Because if you did, you will realize that there are many people who don't even get funded,
mhm,
you know? And there are many, many other people who get funded, but they don't make mega bucks out of this at all, you know?
right.
So it's not a question of this is the easy route into anything. You get blocked from so many platforms. I mean, I've been blocked from CBR, I've been blocked from loads and loads of comic book sites and forums simply for it being a comic book project. Not because
What?
I've been a dick on their forums or anything, because I didn't even get a chance to say anything on the forums. All I did was post a link. The moderator obviously looked at the link, scratched around, um, and found out, okay, this is a Comics Good project, and he just blocks my IP, so I can't post there ever again.
Oh,
Um, and it's like that sort of mentality that you're up against. So it's not easier, I don't think. Um, I'm not sure.
is CBR comic book resources?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that you were like banned from uh, certain resources simply because
We
you're,
all are. Yeah,
well, yeah.
yeah. No, seriously. If just as an experiment, maybe try it from a different IP. Um, But go on to CBR and just post a Cyberfrog link or post or any other comics book link and see how long it stays up there for, and then you'll get blocked, and that's it for no reason. You can't raise any queries. Nothing. There's just nothing. I've asked. So what can I appeal this? No, no answer. Nothing. They're a complete autocracy.
Wow.
So regardless of the merit of the project, regardless of the content of the project, regardless of whether of anything that creator says or does, actually it's literally just guilt by association. And and it's the worst kind of guilt by association, because you're associated to somebody who's also guilty by some association. You understand? It's like this knock-on guilt by association that it becomes ridiculous. It's just yeah. Anyway, so I got no time for CBR. I got no time for any of the major outlets. They don't respect us. We don't respect them.
Yeah, really.
So we basically have to do it ourselves on our network. And the greatest part about all this is we're in touch directly with our customers. They know where we're at. They know what we're like. They don't buy into all these fallacies about us, what we stand for, and that's fine. That's good enough for me. Because that's all I wanted. I don't care if any like if I get any sort of recognition elsewhere, because it's irrelevant to me,
I mean,
at the
as
end of the
long as
day.
you've got an audience who's interested in your work, then that's pretty much all you need, and it's just going to grow over time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm hoping for. That's why I'm pushing to do every campaign better than the last one. So for the next one, there's going to be a lot more color pieces. I'm experimenting with styles, with kinds of stories that I think will work. Um, so yeah, we see. We just keep trying to improve what we do, and hopefully it'll win more people over. But so far, the reactions have been very positive. So I'm happy with what I've done so far. I just need to get. I'm just itching to get onto the next one. Just really, really get up to knock one out of the next one out of the park. Um,
Have you
so
spent a lot of time, you know, working on the next project uh, in your spare
yeah,
time?
Yeah. I mean, in my spare time at the moment, yeah, it's just that. It's just different aspects of that project. So for the interiors now, it's at the stage where I am doing the breakdowns. But there's also, because I like just doing a lot of freestanding art. I'm now planning out the covers. I want to have two variant covers for this one book with two variant covers, and I want there to be a pack of prints like I did last time because I thought those were quite popular and people really like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the prints, I've planned all those out. I've done the composition because I find composition is extremely important. Like I would spend a great deal of time just making sure that everything reads properly in those images before I do anything else. And I kind of do them and I leave them somewhere and I come back to them and I'm like, yeah, okay, this works. This still works. I can take them forward. So I've been working on that, and just on learning some new skills. I've been really for the longest time I've been really keen on learning some animation. So I've
Oh,
been learning. So just instead of reading a book or just having some down, like instead of watching some random thing on YouTube, I'll be watching animation tutorials and things like that as a slow burn sort of thing that I'll pick up. But yeah, long term, I'd like to know at least a few things about animation because they kind of feed into each other, comics and animation to a degree.
do you
So
anticipate? Yeah. Do you anticipate perhaps making an intro video that's animated with your characters?
yeah, I was thinking of that. Just like little shorts, little 2D animated skits, not skits really, just little things, just to add to my social media, just to add to my YouTube channel. Just initially, just for myself, because at the moment, comics is it's set up in such a way that you can put it on your Indiegogo and you can fulfill to your audience, and you could make a living out of this if you had to apply yourself. With animation, I don't think there is a mechanism like that. Um, it's not print media. Once it's online, people can watch it. You're
Right.
not going to get a theatrical release. You're not going to get a TV You're not going to get TV rights and distribution. You're not going to have any of that. So it's not quite the same. It's not quite. I mean, we deal in IP. The execution of that IP is a little bit beyond us. It's literally just one of those things where I've always wanted to learn how it works,
Mm.
and it's that satisfaction of knowing, okay, I can do this too. So, if I had to, that's all. Um, I don't know. It goes back to my childhood. I just love cartoons from the 80s, and it's just like a thrill if you can produce that sort of thing yourself. What does stats say? A lot of times, the first campaign is a write-off and exists just to get the book out there. Yeah, that is true. And then when people get more comfortable with you, they realize that you do fulfill, that you take this very seriously, and that you respect your customers. In addition to knowing what you're doing at the drawing board and the writing desk, then you start forging a path for yourself.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Until then, a lot of people or potential backers are reluctant because, well, they haven't seen you fully. They haven't seen you go through the whole process and fulfill successfully, and or they might have previously been burned by other crowdfunding campaigns where they were never able to fulfill, or it just ran into a lot of drama or issues. Yeah,
That's it. That's totally it. I mean, and those guys, and like I think I might have had a good moan about the Critics situation here before, but those guys bring us down. They don't just disappoint their own backers. They don't bring down their own backers. They bring down the whole institution of crowdfunding, and
hmm
not just Comicsgate. Actually, it's broader than as a whole. Anybody who wants to crowdfund, that's so same backers are going to go. This looks interesting. But I remember what happened that time with what was it called? Darkman? No, it wasn't Darkman. I forget what his comic was called. But he raised so much money. I think he did $35,000, $36,000,
Wow.
and it's twice the size of mine, more than twice the size of mine. So he must have. Well, could have had, I don't know how many backers he had, but those people have been burned, and they might not be back
Yeah.
because they weren't refunded. The money was paid out. They didn't get any money back from that. They probably went, okay, well, that's me done. That's a good 600, 700, 800 people out of the pool, because crowd people who back crowdfunding campaigns are like just a special kind of person. They put more money than they normally would towards a project, which they'll only get much later, and then they still have to take the risk of somebody taking the money and running away and never fulfilling. So they take a risk on the quality, they take a risk on whether they actually get it, and they pay more for it. It's not the same as somebody walks into a bookstore, flips through something, takes it to the counter, pays for it, goes home and reads it immediately. It's not the same thing at all.
Right.
You can't compare. Yeah. And there aren't that many of them. And even the biggest ones are thanks to that stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
But even the biggest guys, if you had to take 500 guys out of say Ethan's numbers, that's a significant amount of backers down. You're not going to get any. You're not going to. It's a culture. Maybe the culture is, but on the other hand, maybe the culture is growing, seeing as that there are more pros now, like big names like Sean Gordon Murphy or whoever, who are doing campaigns, and they're kind of normalizing the idea of, okay, I'm not buying something that I will be getting in the post tomorrow. It's something I'll pay you now, and you'll produce something for me further down the line.
Right.
So culturally, maybe there's a bit of a shift happening there, and you'll get more people backing. I don't know what's happening.
Hopefully,
we'll see. Yeah, the first comic book that I saw made quite a bit of money. Was Sullivan Sluggers. Back in 2012. Yeah, they made over $200,000.
Whoa!
It was a graphic novel. Yeah, it's quite cool. Have you seen that before?
No, I haven't.
I can't remember who the writer is, but the artist is a guy called Joe Stoku. He did Orkstain, which is an awesome little series from Image Comics, right? It's kind of like this very punky sort of story about orcs. It's kind of psychedelic and crazy. The colors are crazy. That's his own thing. Sullivan Sluggers was about this baseball team that come up that fight. Well, go out to play a game of baseball against these aliens, these alien insects, and it looks absolutely amazing. And it made a killing on Kickstarter.
Really?
Back in the day, but that was like an outlier. It was that, and there was that stick figure one, Order of the Stick. That's 1.2 million, and yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal for Ethan. He wants to smash that. He wants to. If he can do 1.2 million, his will be ultimately the biggest crowd-funded book ever. And I hope he gets it. That will be a crown. That'll be a crown he can wear proudly. It'll be good for all of us.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when one of us succeeds, everyone else succeeds.
Yeah, I'd love to see them ignore that, because that would be unofficially the biggest crowd-funded comic book ever.
Yeah.
Not an Indiegogo, cross-platform by anyone.
Yeah. SJWs would soil their pants.
Yeah, well, soiling them anyway.
Statistical Zero says learning about animation can only help an artist learn better how to draw consistently. Helps with speed too. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the traditional stuff. I mean, you get some interesting nowadays. You get software that emulates traditional animation quite closely, like TV Paint. You do. Yeah, it's a French piece of software. And all the brushes, it's very much like Photoshop. So you get those textured brushes and things that look like paint brushes. So you just set up your keyframes, and then you do all the in-betweens like you would with in the normal sort of course in traditional animation. Whereas you get the other kind of animation programs like Flash, where everything would be automated. and you'd have puppet tools to move limbs and things like that. That's
Mhm.
So TV Paint would that's where definitely. I mean, you'll keep your volume consistent across the whole animation, doing your in betweens, motion. Setting up those keyframes, because keyframes are your pinnacles of motion that you do throughout the course of a 2D or any animation, and
Right.
then everything in between is to smooth everything out of essentially. But yeah, if a good animator would you'd be a good long way away at being a good comic book artist, and vice versa. I
Mm.
think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There used to be a software program that I heard of that I meant to get around to learning how to use, but I never did. But it was called Toon Boom Studio.
Toon Boom, yeah. There's Harmony, there's Studio. They've got different tiers of that. Toon Boom, I think, is probably the best one to learn,
Oh, really?
because it gives you the automated stuff, so you can automate a lot of shape. It'll tween the shapes, and you can also do frame by frame. And it's got a set of vector brushes and bitmap brushes, so you can make something look like a traditional animation if you'd want to in the same program. It
Oh,
is all the bells and whistles. I think Toon Boom is probably the best application that you can get. It's just very expensive. That's the
yeah.
only problem.
Statistical Zero's asking if the title was Detective Dead.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, that's it. It actually looked pretty good. It's a pity. It's just a pity that that it turned out like that. That's all.
And that is why my book will be 100% done and the proof printed before I even start the campaign. Yeah.
Then you can launch it. Then you can launch at Christmas, or you can launch for fulfillment at Christmas time. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
And you can be all ready with like chromium covers and all kinds
Yeah,
of stuff.
Christmas variant cover.
Yeah, Christmas
You know,
variant. There you go. That would be awesome.
yeah, you can cash into that completely.
And
That's it. I actually want to do like a Merry Boys Christmas story. I must write that down.
oh yeah, that would be
Yeah,
fun. That would be so much fun. Can you imagine
it's
like?
one of those.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
doing a campaign, and while you're in funding, you do a Christmas special, and then while you're funding the second, let me see. Actually, it wouldn't really apply to the UK, but I was thinking, well, actually, it would apply to everyone. A New Year's Eve or New Year's Day
Uh-huh.
theme book, and then maybe an Easter theme book while it's in demand.
You
All
could do that. Yeah.
these
You
holidays.
could do one for every season, for every holiday. You could do a calendar with different themed art. You could do that's something. Yeah. I mean, you're giving me merchandising ideas now. I hope you realize that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the funny thing that just popped into my head. I don't know if you guys have stores like Walgreens or CVS Pharmacy. Um, but they're basically more or less pharmacies, but they sell all kinds of other merchandise, like some food, a few aisles of food items, but
Oh yeah. It's like boots over here. That's what that is. Yeah.
and it's
Something
got
there.
you know general merchandise, toiletries, makeup, uh, medicines. They have a pharmacy. Well, most have a photo department as well, and the photo
Uh-huh.
departments they make everything from posters to print off your 35 millimeter photograph rolls to doing mouse pads to custom mouse pads to custom Christmas cards to puzzles with an image that you provide and those kinds of cute little things as well. I've always thought about maybe doing something with that. I mean, there's so much merchandise out there that you could do. Like,
Yeah.
I know yours is. Oh, go ahead.
It's about finding your brand. It's about finding your brand, you know. I mean, like I was thinking, there was some guys. I don't know if he was comic scared or not. I can't remember, but he did like this. He did this Santa Claus story. It was like this high epic fantasy adventure up in the North Pole with Santa Claus. And if I thought, you know, I was thinking to myself, I said, if that was my campaign, and I was thinking about merchandising ideas, then they would all be Christmas themed, you know. So it might be stockings, you know, Christmas stockings with
Oh,
stuff on it, Christmas jumpers, knitted. Yeah, think about, well, like, how about a knitted Christmas jumper? You can have those, like, you know, because it's just a commercial knitting pattern. You can actually have that thing knitted into a jersey. I don't know how much that would cost. It never occurred to me to do something like that. But you know, so if it's on brand, it makes kind of sense. I mean, I couldn't, for example, I wouldn't. I'm trying to think of something that just patently wouldn't work as Mary Boy's. You know, like a bowling shirt wouldn't be Mary Boy's, really. I don't think that's popular in some campaigns, but not in others.
Gotcha.
So you have to kind of find, you need to know your audience, or at least you need to know what the mindset of what your audience gets into when they look at your campaign and go, yeah, I like that. I like to buy into that idea. So you kind of have to appeal to that place that they go. You know, you have to chase that appeal. That's the idea.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Do you envision maybe in a future campaign? Well, let me ask this again. My memory sucks. So remind me again, is Tisk an actual brand, or is it like a play on it or a parody?
It's a play on an actual existing beer that's called Tiskie, which is a Polish lager. Initially I planned to just write Tiskie on there, but then I thought, okay, it's too long. It's easier just to abbreviate it. And secondly, I'll be doing product placement in the comic, which isn't, you know, which is anti-ethical to what I'm doing. So I thought, no, we'll just create our own brand of beer.
Yeah, I was wondering if in a future campaign you might reach out to like beer distributors or well, not distributors, but beer manufacturers or local pubs with their own IPAs or something, and develop a beer and then slap on a Tisk label or a Mary Boys theme label and sell the beer as part of a tier.
I'm actually thinking of beer glasses. Beer glasses with like an enamel sort of printing on it would be quite cool.
That would be
like, have you ever read Milk and Cheese?
I have not. I've heard of them, but I've never read it.
It's basically a bottle of, or a carton of milk and a wedge of cheese, who drink a lot of alcohol and then beat people up. It's really short, 1 or 2 page cartoons. Like, so it's a short it's a short, sharp kick in the nuts, and then they're gone, and then it's the next story. So it's like almost like a punk sort of song. And the merchandising for them was also beer glasses with these cool enamel designs, and that really works. That really works for that because it's on brand. Because when you think of Milk and Cheese, you think of drinking and mayhem. So yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, that would be on point. That would be on point. That would work quite well. Like with Cecil with his drinking flask. I think that was one of the ones for cash grab.
I think the flask was an awesome idea. The only thing I think they could have done to improve it is there are other services that could have blown up the image more, and I think it would have looked better if the image were larger.
Yeah, it's, and Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know if you can actually do colorization on a metal surface. I mean,
Oh,
colorization, like an enamel sort of plate that you could put onto that would be better because it's such a colorful campaign.
yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Good point. Statistical Zero says, my first one when it happens will be small, small, small.
That is not a bad idea, you know. I mean, I plan on mine being small. It just kind of grew and grew and grew, you know, because I just kept adding new stuff to it. But People Circus from CG UK, he's got a small little project now that he just wants to get out of the door, and it's, you know, apart from the book, he wants it to be like a learning experience, because I mean, there's so many things you just don't know about crowdfunding. You don't know about your audience. You don't know about the whole experience unless you except by doing it, and it's very valuable just to get one out the door, as you actually already pointed out, Stat. But it's very true. You can
Welcome.
only learn it really by doing it.
Good to have you, Matanui. Post any questions you have in the chat. Yeah, that's a good point. I have a good feeling that Statistical Zero's first campaign is going to be pretty popular because CG is composed of a lot of fans of uh, like people like Statistical Zero and his artwork, people like Camel Moon, people like Geek Chorus, 3D Robin, all these creatives that are just so freaking talented.
Mark Marianelli, 6 a.m. Comics.
Yeah, 6 a.m. Comics.
Mentioned. Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's
Absolutely
all
brilliant.
over the place. He's in all
Yeah,
kinds
yeah,
of
yeah.
things.
Love that guy. He's great. Such a humble, so incredibly humble, very talented guy. Very good combination of qualities to have.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, Scud and Flaming Carrot. Yeah, yeah. That is. I haven't actually read Scud, the disposable assassin, right? Yeah, I want to. Apparently, it's really good. Apparently, it is. It's good indie comic. I'd like to get into that.
Yeah.
I think Image might have published a collection of Scud. I'll have to check that.
I'll have to check those out. I think it's welcome Yotam Darkstar.
Hello.
Welcome.
Getting lots of people. Lots of people I haven't seen before here.
Yeah.
These streams tend to be small, so when you see new people, you're like, hey, you know, you're in our neck of the woods, you know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, sometimes for me it's hard to get viewers in the morning, my time. But so much of the United States we stream in the evening, but
yeah,
that also leads to lots and lots of competition.
that's true.
So
Yeah.
I try not to do that with the bigger creators.
Yeah, I think the answer is to try and grow the audience. I mean, you know, the audience, like I keep saying, I think we're in for as far as Comicsgate is concerned, I think we're in for a period of expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's because of all the Comicsgate is reactionary, right? It grew, it was established, and it grew because of injustice in the comic book industry, pros not acting professionally, gatekeeping, all that stuff. So the more that stuff happens, and it's been happening a lot, you will see Comicsgate growing. People will go, that isn't right. Oh, you know, I'd like to do something about it. Oh, I see there is a movement out here against all that. Great. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to see what they're about. Let's support them. Comicsgate grows a little bit. So the more pushing is going on, the more we grow, the bigger the audience gets, the more people they are looking for Comicsgate content. And the other thing is, we are becoming, I don't know, more acceptable. Our face is becoming more acceptable. We're having more pros joining our ranks.
Yeah.
You know, people with a good pedigree in comic books coming. Not that we didn't have those before, but we didn't have as many as we do now.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all, I think You know, a lot of the antagonism from inside has also kind of died down now, I think. So it's a winning formula. I'm I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we'll be seeing a growth spurt for the next 12 months.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, I only started, I only first heard about Comicsgate around September, October of 2019.
Uh-huh.
And even then, it felt like it was in the early stages, if you will. And
Yeah.
now it seems like it's blown up significantly. There are so many new creators that I hadn't previously heard of. I mean, I know I'm still kind of maybe behind the times in playing catch up because there are books that other promoters are advertising that I'm just now learning about. So I'm trying to learn more about them.
If you look at old videos from 2018, then it starts feeling like decades ago. It really does, because the landscape has changed so much. The topics of discussion have changed. Allegiances and caricatures, not caricatures, characters have changed so much. So yeah, constant state of flux. 2018 feels like much longer ago than it actually is.
Yeah.
So we're still ironing out all the issues, but we're getting there, I think. What is Matanui? So I first heard from Diversity in Comics. That the very first time I heard about Comicsgate was something about Ethan. I read a hit article about to do with Ethan, where they said he was a Nazi. Where they showed an image of his biography, claiming that's making like it was like a secret, like it was a crypto-fascistic reference to Mein Kampf, that his signature looks like a swastika or some nonsense like that. And then I was like, what? And I read it, I dug a little bit deeper, and I'm like, no, this isn't actually true. It's a superficial nonsense. And after I was established for myself, no, this isn't true. This is obviously a hit piece. Then I looked, okay, this is not just a hit piece. This is a hit piece by a major news aggregator. This is a huge attempt. I mean, it's scary that this huge organization would be doing that. So I dug a little bit deeper, started listening there, and ran into your boy Zach's stuff too. And I was like, okay. Then I read about everything that happened to him with Antarctic Press,
oh man,
messing up his deal, everything, all that stuff. And I was like, this is wrong. This if they're against, I'm on their side. I'm totally on their side. I can't let this happen. I want to, I gave up on comics in 2012 with my first book because of SJW stuff, and I just thought there wasn't anybody standing up to this. I just didn't want to be part of that experience anymore. So when I saw that, there was like a little movement against exactly that problem that I had, I was like, yeah, of course I'm on board with this. We can't have this. It's unreasonable. It's not fair. It's just, it's just the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry, I just got off on a tangent about.
No, you're good.
About but yeah.
My channel's all about tangents.
Yeah. But like I said, it goes through like a process of normalization. And I think one benefit that we have is we actually make a comic book. I don't know what happened. Were you ever into Gamergate? Did you know? I know that Comicsgate derived from the same kind of principle as Gamergate. But I never knew anything about Gamergate or what the actual problems were, or actually what happened to it, because I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games. So
I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't researched it much. I am a gamer, but I'm not sure what all the drama was. I thought it had to do with what they refer to as thoughts, THOT. You know, girls who aren't necessarily gaming, but they're more like, uh, you know, girls who dress scantily and get money from people watching them. Um, Let me
All
see.
right. That's well. I kind of I heard it was about ethics in journalism that somebody's girlfriend's game got promoted because they had a
Oh,
relationship.
oh
Not
yeah, 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 yeah. You're
because
right.
it had it. Yeah, something like that. I just assumed it was something similar to just you just want a fair deal sort of thing.
Right. Yeah,
But
you're absolutely right. I'm thinking of a different issue that's going on that is more of a, I guess, more of a Twitch issue. Uh,
I'm
yeah,
sure there's a lot of passports being sold out there, and you know
yeah.
people can do what they want, I guess. But
There
yeah.
was like you said, um, someone who had some influence in the industry uh, was, yeah. I guess you actually explained it pretty well. Let me see here. Mananui says, I think I just know out of nowhere a few years ago people started saying it. Yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of people like me who have been here for a long time finally stopped working too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's kind of like a rule by numbers sort of situation. The more people stand behind it, the more gravity there is. The more people will break their silence and come out to say, "Hey, you know what? You know, I agree. I agree with Comicsgate. No, I'm not a Nazi. Stop calling me a Nazi." You know, it becomes easier the more people stand up. That's all. It's just how it is.
Mm.
And like I said, just with big, like, you know, actual, like, big two comic book creators also going like, you know what, yeah, we're not fussed about this anymore. We're not afraid to, you know, to stand up. That's just going to embolden everybody else to say, you know, as well, I don't want to toe the line anymore.
Uh, One moment. I'll be right back. I got to check something.
Sure. Right, chat, does anybody want to shoot a question? Anyone?
Oh, okay. That's what's going on.
What's going on?
I heard this weird buzzing in the background, and I thought I had some sort of motor or some kind of electronic device plugged in that was about to burn out its motor or something. But it turns out it's someone using hedge clippers on the shrubs and hedges outside in the trees. Um, yeah, I'm back. So I just pulled up Gamergate real quick. It stemmed from a harassment campaign conducted primarily through the hashtag Gamergate. Controversy centered on issues of sexism and progressivism in video game culture. Let's see here. Started in 2014. It supposedly targeted several women in the video game industry, like Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu, as well as
There was also Anissa Sarkeesian, I think, was another. Yeah, there we go. That's
she is.
she's basically the Frederick Wortham of games. Games will give you hairy palms, will make you aggressive, will it will make you it'll turn you into all sorts of horrible things, and et cetera, et cetera. It's exactly what they said in the 1950s about comic books. Just repackaged and rebranded for today's generation, who's also just swallowing it hook, line, and sinker. There's absolutely no correlation. There have been studies done by, you know, well-regarded institutions, universities, that there is absolutely no correlation between video game violence and actual real-world violence. There just isn't.
Right, exactly.
Not an adolescent, not an older gamers, nowhere across the board. There isn't a question around this issue at all. I wish those results would get wider distribution. And the same thing with comics. But now with comics, you say yes, and obviously that isn't the case, because we've had generations of kids who read comics in those years in the 1950s who didn't turn out delinquents, you know, criminals, you know, sexual deviants, as a result of reading comic books. So it's all nonsense. It's all political. It's all designed to give the influencer a platform, like I did with Mr. Wortham. He built a whole career on publishing books around the subject of delinquency, attacking comic books. Now you've just got these same bullshit artists doing exactly the same thing, attacking our hobbies, vilifying us for no reason save for personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I closed out the Wikipedia entry because obviously they obviously have a bias. Wikipedia isn't what it used to be. It used to be more objective and allowed people's input, and that was part of what made it so cool, because eventually there would be like a consensus as to
Yeah.
what the true description or definition was. But now they're doing their own version of censorship, because in Gamergate they're claiming that the movement of gamers uh, wrongly made accusations about Zoe Quinn and her relationship with, I guess, game developer, employee, or someone in the media. Uh, and they totally skewed everything. So it made it look like the fan base was evil.
I don't understand why, like how it happens at a personal sort of relationship. I guess that's what people. This is how it happens. A personal situation gets politicized, because I mean, whatever happens between Zoe Quinn and her boyfriends or whatever's got nothing to do with everybody else. It shouldn't affect the integrity of games. We see the same thing with Warren Ellis. I mean, I haven't looked very deeply into it, but it looks to me like, a personal thing between him and a bunch of people has been politicized by a big news site. Like The Guardian posted this massive article about, denigrating and breaking down Warren Ellis for probably some asshole behavior. Fine. I think what happened was he offered apprenticeships or something like that, or people came to him off, I think it was newbie creators, female creators who wanted some sort of apprenticeships from him. They offered him sex. He accepted the sex, and then he cast them aside like harlots eventually. And I'm like, okay, that's asshole behavior, but does it? Why is it being used as a cudgel for everybody else in the comic book industry? Does that mean there's a culture of that going around? I don't think so. I think that is just, you'll find that everywhere. People who have something that somebody else wants, and it's not a comic book issue. It's an individual's own behavior. It isn't something that you need to publish to chastise a whole, class of people over the actions of one person. You know what I mean? That's what I'm finding distasteful. I mean, if I had to, if in my younger years, if I had a girlfriend who I cheated on with another girl or two or three or whatever, like Warren Ellis, I would expect just desserts in being declared some sort of pariah in my social circle, and starting to get some sort of reputation on the in the immediate environment that I moved in.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't expect a national newspaper to pick this up, and to try and chastise me, because it's not something that warrants that level of action. You know, it's killing a fly with a sledgehammer. You
Yeah.
know, and the reason that obviously it's being done is because there's a wider political context to all of this. You know,
Yep.
all men are bad. All men are bad. You know, it's the Me Too movement, all that stuff. I'm like, this isn't a Me Too thing. They offered him sex, he accepted the sex, and reneged on the deal. You know, but
Right.
then again, maybe you shouldn't go around offering sex as a commodity.
Yeah.
Maybe then people won't. I'm just saying. You know, it's like I don't think it's a one-sided affair, that.
Right.
But anyway, I'm probably speaking above my station. I don't know all that much about the scenario, so I should probably shut up.
Statistical asks, is the second campaign going to be longer in page count?
Oh, right, in page count. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be longer than that. It's going to be one book instead of two. Probably 50 something pages. It'll be slightly longer, but not. I think because if I make it much longer than that, then it becomes overbearing in trying to to fulfill on that. That's all. I mean, it took me quite a long time just to do these two issues. So I wouldn't want something to back something that they would only be coming out in a whole year's time, if you know what I mean. Because I think it kind of puts people. It would put me off if I knew if I was paying for something now, it's going to take forever to fulfill. I don't think I'd be, that inclined to get on board. And also, the nature of the next book is going to be short stories. Self-contained short stories with something that ties them together in the end. But they could still be read as short stories that are standing on their own. So it's kind of like an installment in a way, but not in the sense that you would have to have read previous issues that is going to necessarily have an impact on subsequent issues. So I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly. Yes, it's probably be about the same, if not maybe a little bit longer than the previous book. Yeah, no long graphic novels because I've done a 175-page graphic novel before, and it's hell. It's really hell. It's nice to draw. It's nice to draw a line after something, quite in the foreseeable future.
Right.
I think.
Do you anticipate calling it something along the lines of Mary Boy's short stories, or well, it sounds like if it's going to be composed of short stories, that you probably won't be planning to or inclined to label that issue number 3.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not going to be issue 3. It's kind of, it's going to be called. I haven't decided finally on the name, but it's either going to be Bully Beefs or Beef Heads. It's going to be, because it's conflict. It's about conflict, beef. So I'll see what I call it, but it's not going to be called issue 3.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, whatever you do is going to have some contextualization. It's going to have some bearing on something that happens in the future, to a degree. Not directly, but it could. But I don't want to call it it's something that's in direct continuity of the first two, and the next one won't be directly reliant on the ones of anything that happens in the next one. That's the intention. I just want to do something that's going to be freestanding, where I don't have to where I'm not limited by by a long story arc necessarily.
This might be jumping a little too far into the future, but after the short story book campaign, do you anticipate your next project after that to be Mary Boys 3?
I'll see. I might do another collection of short stories, because I've got a lot of short stories now. I basically just sat down and I came up with a whole lot of hooks, and a lot of them are, it goes well beyond the 50 or something page count. So I'll see how this is received, because I have I have a long story arc that I'd like to do, but when I do it, that we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Wow, cool. I'm going to run this intro video here to refresh everyone's memory.
Yeah, I've changed it again.
This is Karl from Papa Comics, and I want to tell you about my comic book called Mary Boys. I'll be launching a crowdfunding campaign for it on Indiegogo from the 1st of September this year. Mary Boys is basically about four little hoodlums with birth defects who go around, guided by the image of the Virgin Mary, kicking the proverbial poo out of bad guys to avoid a biblical apocalypse taking place in their hometown. They have a kind of superpower. Drinking beer actually makes them stronger and faster, but not funny or irresistible. They were also raised and taught to fight by this gnarly old priest who's basically a cross between Peter Steele of Type O Negative and Father Jack Hackett from the Father Ted show. It's about other stuff too. I explain it all a lot better in the project description, so please have a look there. When you say the stuff out loud, it sounds sillier than it actually is. It's a black comedy, but it explores themes like social alienation, corporate greed, and family values. It's also a very British comic, so expect to find a good few cultural references and in-jokes there. This is for fans of comics like The Goon, Tank Girl, Cerebus, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and TV shows like The Young Ones and The League of Gentlemen. So here's the deal. I want to keep Mary Boy's independence and free from editorial interference, and the best way to do this is to self-publish. With this Indiegogo, I aim to raise enough money to pay for the printing and shipping costs to bring you the first two issues of Mary Boys, containing the boys' origin story, introducing the major themes and characters prevalent in this ongoing series. For your support, you will receive a range of incentives, including print editions of the two comics and work from our already published catalog. So that's my pitch. And if it sounds interesting, please go ahead and back it today. Thank you very much in advance for your support.
I cringe at that video now. It's just the vocal delivery is just terrible. I don't speak clearly. I don't feel like I'm really into it. I don't sound like I'm really into it. So next time I'll either get a different narrator or I'll just have to I don't know. Try and make it a bit better somehow.
Statistical Zero loves anthologies. Mananui says, for a second I thought that was a duck.
What, one of the boys?
Beef list.
Yeah, I always get hung up on play. I like to play do a play on words. Typically, I don't know, beef something, or maybe. But sometimes when you get, the title isn't final yet. But if I can't find something that works, I'll have to find something else. We'll see. There's still time.
The beef pool instead of the dead pool. I see what your criticism is on this video, but at the same time, you did pack in a whole lot of information, and you spit out lots of facts, and you told everyone what the story was, the idea behind it, and all that good stuff. So it was very informative. So that was cool. And is that the? I know I'm going to sound stupid right now, but is that the video you've had up all this time?
No, I put in Captain F-Head's review video because I was cringing every time that I listened to my own voice. But then like after a while, I was like, okay, but that doesn't tell you about what it's about. As it tells you the fun stuff, but it doesn't tell you about the social stuff.
Right.
So I just put it up there again.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say, I didn't recognize it. What the hell? Where have I been? Yeah, so you got the print artwork.
Yeah, those prints were quite popular. So I'd like to repeat that. I really like doing pin-ups like that. I love sitting and thinking about composition, trying to tell a story with a single image.
Yeah, I think that's
cartooning.
I think that's the way to go. It's almost it's almost like in comic strips when you have those cartoons that are literally only a single cell, like Family Circus, or well, let's see, occasionally the Lockhorns.
Yeah, Stat will know all about that. But like Charles Adams, have you read those from the New Yorker?
Possibly.
He was the guy who did. Yeah, he came up with the Adams Family. Adams Family were recurring characters in his cartoons that he did for the New Yorker, and he was amazingly good. I had a big anthology of his or collection of his single panel cartoons. But yeah, I mean it's almost not a different discipline. I don't want to make it sound like that, but it's not sequential art. It's got its own little corner of how it works. And I really enjoy that too.
I just love your style. It's got different weights in the lines. That's one of my challenges. I have a tendency to draw everything at the same line weight. And
Get a brush. Get a brush.
Even my
What do you draw?
Point that out. Well, I still do pencils mostly. Standard lead as well as well. Sometimes I use mechanical pencils, but that's probably not ideal for sketching. And either either colored pencils or watercolor pens. Excuse me. But yeah. I really
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, with the nice thing about with line weights, I mean, what I really like about your classic sort of brush ink and pen cartoonists and illustrators, without stripping out all the color and stuff. There's so much like John Buscema's stuff. There is so much done with such a minimal amount of brush strokes. Everything it's deceptively simple, but it is so hard to replicate, to get that sort of feeling in there. And that's something I've been chasing for a very long time. Getting those weights, one stroke of the pen or the brush to create that emotion. With painting, you can, if you don't get it right in the first few strokes, you keep padding it and padding it and padding it and wiggling with it and working with it and fudging it and massaging it until it's right, until you get your values correct. With inking with line work is so much more unforgiving, especially traditional, where you can't rub it out afterwards. You put something down and you have to commit with it. It takes a certain amount of confidence and experience that comes from experience to be able to do that effectively. So yeah, I mean, those guys, I'm still learning so much on how to do that, and the rate at which they work too. The way they used to just churn out page after page after page, and the silly deadlines. That's also mad respect for that. Like
there's only so much whiteout you can use.
Yeah, on those old yeah, that's it. And the thing is, and they use those. They use it like people today use Photoshop. I went to the Cartoonist Museum in London a couple of years back, and I saw some pages from a long-running story, a British story about the Second World War called Charlie's War, by an excellent. It was by Pat Mills, and I was looking at the work, like the original pages, and all the panels that have been cut out, faces that have been cut out and replaced by other faces, redraws, whiteout being laid down and drawn over, little editor's notes and things still on those pages. It showed how much it's like how much freedom we've actually got today with Photoshop, and how hard it actually was doing it that way. I mean, it's almost like you'd expect for a finished comic book page to have loads and loads of little alterations and corrections and things. If it's too clean, you can't really trust it. It has to be look like a little bit battle worn, Otherwise, it probably wasn't used in an actual production.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at those artist editions that are being put out by IDW now, they've got loads of, they've got quite a few of them, obviously, for Frank Frazetta, Jack Davis, Wally Wood, loads of them, and they reproduce the art as it is in its original size and format, even like when they huge pages, literally put into, scanned in. Nothing's been amended or changed or cleaned up, and they reprint those. And then you can see all the fine pencil lines that wouldn't have been picked up by those ancient scanners or photograph. Well, the way it was photographed back then, all the whiteouts you can see the little margin notes, because those would have been printed as well, whereas previously those would have been just outside the optical area.
Yeah.
And it's eye opening. It's fascinating. I find
It
that stuff
is.
very.
It's very fascinating to check out that kind of stuff. I'm real big on behind the scenes stuff, seeing how
Yeah.
things break down.
So
So yeah, it's also that kind of stuff is also fascinating to me. Statistical suggests getting a feud pen. It's got a
okay, I've never.
nib, behaves like a brush and works like a pen. Is
Right.
is feud similar to? Oh shoot, what is the name of it? EVS and Anna, aka that Star Wars girl, both use this brand of Japanese pen, I think.
Pentel, maybe.
Oh, well, I'm thinking of Copic markers.
Oh, right. No. Copic markers are fixed width.
Fixed with.
They, I think, got one here. Yeah, I got a Copic. Yeah, I can show you. So,
Feud.
Yeah.
I'll make note of that.
so that's a Copic,
All right.
and it's got you can see the fixed line weight. There's no
Oh,
variation. So it's got a hard edge, and you can't change that.
okay.
But of course, with the thinner ones, you can just build up the values. Now, the other thing that I'll use this for quick sketches. If we're doing like a sketch show or something, I'll use this. This is a Pentel pen,
Uh-huh.
and it's it's Pentel brush pen. So it's got brush fibers. Okay, so you can
Oh, wow.
it can do line variation,
Oh, man.
but it's got an inkwell. This one's empty now, but it's got
Oh,
so you don't have to dip it.
oh wow.
That saves you a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
All
not the best thing for fine work. Well, it is. It's the best you're going to get. This is the best brush pen there is, according to me. But it's. I still prefer a traditional brush because I can't control how fast this ink flows.
Oh, true. Yeah.
If I spend a little bit too long on a very fine piece of work, there'll be a little bit too much ink that's going to be flowing through this brush and onto the page. And I've got no control over that. With a traditional brush, I do. So there are just tiny little nuances that for which I will only use a brush. Brush pen, it's nice for filling things in. It's nice for doing quick sketches and things like that. But yeah,
What is it called again?
the brush pen. It's a Pentel brush pen.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know if these are even suited for drawing with, but I have. I think I was just playing around and not taking things seriously, but years ago I was using Pilot Precise.
Oh, right.
This is a V5 extra fine, and I have a V7 extra fine. And then I've also got some besides this too. I'm trying to find.
I heard the Pilots were the ones that were really popular before the Copics, and the Copics are popular because they got refillable cartridges, I think.
Mhm.
There are guys who only use brushes, for example. So yeah, it's everybody's like, some people only use brush. There are people who only use brushes, and there are people who only use pens. Well, okay, except for filling out black, big black areas. But yeah, people just, and there are other people like a special breed of person who uses nibs. There we go.
That's the other thing I was going to mention.
Yeah, nibs are. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. It's just the damn things. I think I've got a heavy hand or something, but I break. I break nibs like they're going out of season.
Oh,
And
do you?
yeah, I press too hard or something. They don't flow, and then they splatter everywhere, and they rust, and
Oh,
the little holes are never right. I don't know. I've just had bad luck with nibs. I've heard. I mean, some of my favorite cartoonists use nibs, like Mort Drucker of Mad Magazine fame. He used to do those. His big thing was Mort Drucker. He did the satire stories, like the Mad movie satires.
all right.
He
Yeah.
used a Gillett, a very specific brand of nib, which allows you to move forwards, backwards, to the sides. Very flexible, and very good for drawing with. So I got myself a collection of those, and I just to try them. And yeah, it just isn't for me. I don't think everybody is shaped by what they do. I love his stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a go again. It's just the constant dipping. It's the rusting. It's the uncertainty whether it's going to start flowing at the correct time. And sometimes, what I find is sometimes I flick the nib, and then I get fine little, splatterings of ink everywhere.
That's the
So I just
problem.
yeah, and I don't know. I think I'm just too clumsy or stupid to use them properly.
That's one of the problems I had. The flickering, and I couldn't get the hang of, running it across the paper, because it always felt like I was catching on stuff. And
Yeah,
how the nib is composed of two very fine tips.
prongs.
The prong, yeah, and it's
I
like
think
it always felt like the two were like splitting up, like when you're skating and you do the splits. It always felt like I was doing that.
The thing is, I also get paranoid because I never know how long I can actually use it for before I have to replace it. Because they've got a shelf life. You can't keep using the same nib for years and years. Some cartoonists I've read, they go through one nib per page. And they're not cheap, especially if you have to import them. Well, I did for the Gillets that I got, on recommendation from Mort Drucker. But yeah, it's expensive, and it's difficult. I think also it's got something to do with the kind of paper that you're using. Like he would use a plate surface, Bristol, with these pens, so there'll be less chance of snagging.
Oh yeah, paper selection is important.
Yeah, you get the kid surface and you get the plate surface, but I kind of like the kid surface because when I do washes and things, then the paper is more absorbent. So I think it's all just comes down to getting a lot of materials and just trying them all out and seeing what works for you. At the end of it.
Yeah, for sure. The this other one that I have, I think I'm still searching around for the other brand, but this is a Toya 5-point system, and it comes in a range of dimensions too.
Alrighty.
Toya.
Oh, you got a lot of pens.
Number 2, 4. Well, I did take some early art classes, and I used to work in the college bookstore. I also had like charcoal pencils.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
Back into, and then I have like metallics, colored pencils. I want to check out because I'm into robots and weapons and things like that. Yeah, so I've got a bunch of art supplies I got to use up. One of the things that they had us doing, brushes.
Yeah.
One of the things they had us do in art class with our still life course and our live drawing, where you draw models, live models who pose
Yep.
for you,
Yes.
is, they wanted you to experience all kinds of different mediums. So that's where I got a lot of it. Statistical Zero says Tombos are WSBH and WSBS.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either. Can
Yeah.
you clarify statistical? Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm behind. It's usually used for calligraphy, the feud pen. Tombow makes good ones. Kiritake makes a couple really good ones too. I use those two brands. Tombow and Kiritake.
I've used Tombow before. Yeah, those are good. Those are good. They do like a watercolor brushes and things like that too, where it's got a reservoir, in the same way as the Pentel.
So when it's got the reservoir, are the reservoirs designed to like unscrew the end so you can refill it, or are you expected to just swap it out for another cartridge?
Yeah, not the ones that I had. No. At the end of the day, I decided, well, because I mean, you can buy, well, with that particular set. I mean, I could buy like a whole range of different sort of markers that I would eventually have to replace, or I could just get a brush set and I could get dyes, which last forever. Literally, you buy a set and that will last you. It'll outlive you or me. Yeah, like for color stuff. What I really like is Dr. Martin's ink dyes.
Oh my gosh, Dr.
So
Martens. Yeah.
yeah, I love that stuff. It's
Um,
brilliant for the light fast stuff. I mean, you get different types, but the Bombay inks, the Bombay ones are light, are reprographic, light fast, archival. Those things are good. Really like them.
Another person who uses Dr. Martin inks is Unhinged Entertainments. Jason.
Oh yeah.
Absolute. He uses those all the time.
Really? Okay. Yeah. He's also like a supporter. Yeah, cool dude. I didn't know that he used that. It's almost seen like an old timey sort of way, because it was used by the like, well, I'm sure Will Eisner used it. Jack Davis definitely used it. That whole range of comic book illustrators made use of those dyes back in the day. I don't know how common now. Everybody's just gone digital, so it's like dark arts, So
Dark
it's
arts.
cool when I meet somebody who's like, when I find out other people are still using that stuff.
Yeah, it's a trip. I mean, he recently did a Twitter post where he commented that, he did a drawing. I forgot who the character was, but he didn't have any flesh tones available. I don't know if it's because he simply ran out of the inks that generate the flesh tone, or if Dr. Martin doesn't have flesh tones, but I imagine they would.
Yeah, no, you don't use you use it isn't a flesh tone. It's like an orange. It's
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you would
Diluted.
because when you draw, you preserve the white areas. So you'll start in the very darkest sort of flesh tone area, and then you would disperse that out. You could probably build up but you go from lights. You lay down, you preserve the white areas the same way. You wouldn't go like with acrylic painting, that you just paint everything in one tone and then lighten up afterwards. So it depends on the approach. I don't think they've got. I've got the whole set of Dr. Martens. I don't think they've got just a flesh tone one, because I mean you'll have because on lighting you're going to have all sorts of tones in the person's skin color. Blues, pinks. And then you're going to have all the refracted light coming off of that too. So a lot to consider.
Do you usually use Dr. Martin's inks in conjunction with a quill pen or?
No, just a watercolor brush.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome, Cam. Good morning to you.
Hey, Cam. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say hi, Cam. I said he's looking forward to his Merry Boys, or I'm assuming it's a dude. Most of us are guys in these circles, so I think it's safe for me to assume.
How dare you?
But yeah.
How dare you misgender the audience? Statistical says, I found a Tombow Fura Nosuke 2-pack with 2 different fine brush pens in it. It works great, but not for filling in. Yeah, I can imagine that if you're using it for fine work. That and a Kuretake LS1-10. Gotcha. Tombos are WSBH and WSBS. All right. Yep. And you already read this one. Looking forward to my copy of Merry Boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just wondering when he backed. If he backed recently, then yeah, it'll make its way to you. But if he backed back in, I'm always paranoid, through all this COVID nonsense, that there's still people from the initial, tranche that haven't received their books yet. So if you backed like in the beginning, and you still haven't received your book, then please get in touch with me. But if it's something that you backed recently, then yeah, just give it some time. Things are coming back to normal with regard to international postage now. So
yeah, I remember I got my books. I think I've got everything from your campaign. Let's see, model numbers on the pens. Dr. Martens are good. I use some of that stuff too. India ink is far cheaper for big spot blacks than going through markers. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
In my artist toolbox, I actually have a bottle of India ink. I'm almost afraid to use it because I'm afraid to knock it over and spill it.
Yeah, that's what you should do. I mean, I'll show you what I use, what I have. I mean, I used to use a lot of the speedball ink, right? But it comes in this really big container. And the worst thing you can possibly do is just dip it in here and line, because what happens is the rest of the ink dries out, and eventually it turns into a jelly that's not good for anything except for doing ink washes with. So it'll stick to the brush. It'll be like, you're not going to get good flow after a while because all the water dries out of it. So what you should do if you use, especially something like speedball, it's got a lot of pigment. So it goes a long way. But what your best thing that you can do is pour some of it out into a smaller holder, and put the cap back on. Then you'll be then you'll be able to use this bottle for quite a long time before it goes to pot.
Even if even if you have the cap on, whenever you're not using it, it will eventually go jelly.
It'll dry out while you're inking. If you spend 2 hours inking something, that's 2 hours of it evaporating, and it adds up.
Oh wow!
There's even a level of evaporation when the cap is on. So ink doesn't last forever, even when the cap is on. Eventually, that's why they put that little seal on there. If you take the seal off, you put the cap on, it'll take a lot longer, but it will eventually dry out. With the cap off, it just turns into. Do I have one here? Yeah, here we go. This has still got some ink at the bottom, but it's so dense that it can't fall out. So I keep it because I keep it for ink washes, because there's still a lot of pigments in here, but it's no good for line work.
Do you use water to do your ink wash, or do you have to use like a chemical?
No, it's just water. Just mix. It's just dirty water.
Okay.
As Will Eisner used to call it, dirty water.
All right.
Something I can recommend that I really like because I was looking through for some different inks, a good replacement for brush pen ink, right? Because with brush pens and repeatographs and anything that you replace the ink, you need something that's not going to clog up your pens and your brushes. The primary reason for the clogging is shellac that they include in those highly pigmented inks like Speedball. So you can't go chucking it in your brush pen because it's going to cause you problems. It's going to turn into coagulated blood eventually. This stuff is actually airbrush ink, right? It doesn't contain any shellac, so you could put this into it's made so that it won't clog up an airbrush jet, and it works just the same for your brushes for when you're doing inking work.
Oh.
So you can fill up your Pentel with this, your repeatographs, and I would imagine any other sort of brand of brushes. Disclaimer: I haven't tried it on all the other brushes, so I don't know. If you use it, clogs it up, don't blame me. But definitely on Pentel. I keep refilling my Pentel pens with this now.
All right.
And what's nice, yeah, and what's really nice about it, it's really cheap. In comparison, it's about half the price per unit of that Speedball ink, But it's got the same. If you use Pentel, it's basically got exactly the same properties. It's got the same pigmentation as the Speedball. All it is, I'd say, it isn't as water fast. That's all. So if you're going to be doing colors or ink washes over it afterwards, I suggest getting out a hairdryer or letting it stand for a while, like a few days before you put it on. I just use the hairdryer. Otherwise than that, it's exactly the same as Pentel ink, only much cheaper. Because normally you have to buy them in the cartridges, and that costs a fortune.
Yeah.
I just accumulated a whole bag full of cartridges from disposed Pentel refills, and now I just take a syringe and I just refill them from time to time, and I save myself a lot of money that way.
All right. Let's see. Model numbers on the pens. Dr. Martens are good. I use some of that stuff too. India ink is far cheaper for big spot blacks than going through markers. Then, aren't there also some artists who choose to do make a mix of roughly 50% Speedball and 50% India ink to make a deeper, stronger black?
I think Speedball is pretty black, and it's India ink too. So I don't know.
All right.
You could. I don't know. I haven't heard of that. But
necessary. Okay.
What happens in printing? I mean, if you go into design, right? I don't know how relevant this would be, but digitally, the best blacks that you have for reproduction won't be just Y. It won't, because you get CMYK in the way the colors are broken down. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Y being black. The best combinations for having really deep blacks would also be having some cyan, magenta, and yellow in there in different proportions. So it gives you a less gray black, if that makes sense. It gives you a really vibrant sort of black, like a warmer black or a colder black, depending on what combinations that you choose. There's a whole thing on that. So imagine maybe it's something like it because you're different, because also I found out also that if you take different brands of India ink, like Speedball, like Winsor and Newton, if you do the ink washes on them, the ink washes will look different. They'll have different tints to them. The Winsor and Newton get like this rusty sort of color. Others are more red or yellowish. Yeah, it depends. So they've got their own tones. So maybe that's it. It's got that underlying tone. So maybe people who are really in touch with that stuff think, okay, I'm going to be mixing these things up to get like a warmer feel or a darker feel. But I'm just speculating. I don't know. I don't know.
Good deal. Well, you got confirmation.
Well, I was right. I was right.
Dr. Martin's inks usually come with a dropper. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and then one drop goes a very long way because it's heavily pigmented. So you can dilute it, and you can layer it. It dries. You can put more layers. You can build up your layers very nicely with that stuff. It's not like watercolor that reactivates when you put water on it, you know, and starts moving around again. You put it down, you let it dry, and it stays where it is. It stays put, and it's transparent. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Mm.
I mean, would you ink or paint with Dr. Martin similar to how you would watercolor? Like get one of those plastic trays with the little dishes, the little basins or whatever.
Exactly the same.
Okay.
It's exactly the same process. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And then if you do want to have highlight, I mean, if you do want to, you can still do something over it if you want to. You can add some gouache, you know. So obviously the gouache won't be water fast. So that's something you'll have to do last, and you couldn't be able to do anything over them. But it's very versatile. It's a good alternative to using acrylics, tube acrylics. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying I like tube acrylics, but they're I find they're a lot more hard work. There's a lot more work that goes into doing acrylic. I think the end results are possibly better. You get far deeper colors and more of a range, but it's also a lot more work trying to do it, because I don't know, I've never succeeded in doing acrylics on paper. It's always on board. So there's a whole process of me drawing something out, having to retrace everything onto a board, like a cold press board, then doing all the values in with an underpainting, and then painting over it with layers and layers of paint, and then finally doing my highlights and things. And that is a huge process compared to just drawing something quickly and then watercoloring and preserving whites the same way I would do with watercolor or Dr. Martens. So yeah.
Oh, all right. Cam says, "Okay, I'm a moron. I somehow did not have Mary Boys backed, but now I do."
Okay. All right. Okay. Bro, that's probably the message I just got. So hey, we might have hit 17,000 USD. Let's have a look. Yeah, cool.
So 16,995 for 493. 17,023.
Oh, boom.
Oh,
boom.
Nice.
Nice. Very nice. And 6 backers away from 500 backers.
Yeah, we're almost there. Let's shoot for 500 backers, everyone. Spread the word.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate that. I'm still flabbergasted at how much support, has been coming in for this project.
Yeah. Let's see here. 17K with 494 backers.
Yo. Compare a bit closer.
Okay, let's see here. Let me do an extra promotion on social media real quick.
Yeah, well, people are stopping by, which I really like. It's I like your show also because it's also nice in the middle of the day for me. So it's a nice like little break. It's like you've done your morning's work and now you're just hanging out a bit instead of staying up late, because I'm very cranky like in the early hours of the morning. I'm like trying to keep my eyes open. I'm not feeling very animated or very talkative because it's typically past my bedtime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
All right, so I got that and a couple more spots I wanted to promote again. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Yeah, I heard about gouaches, but I've never used them myself. Aren't you supposed to apply a gouache before you even lay anything down on your canvas or
No,
your?
that's what's the word for it? Yeah, that's I used it once. It's literally it's a white paint that you lay over. Then you're supposed to sand it to give it a certain sort of texture, and that you can that you'll use before you're doing an acrylic or oil painting. It's called God, I forget what it's called. I just haven't used it in such a long time. But no, that's totally different. That is just like that is just a primer that you
Oh,
would
okay.
use. Yeah. I don't know. I find it's for me. It's best just to draw straight onto the cold pressed board than have because otherwise when I do acrylics it just flows all over the place. So it does. I need the paper. I need the board to have like some level of absorbency to keep the tooth. And I find that the more textures I apply, the more they flow around and they're harder to handle. So
Huh.
yeah, like I said, to each their own. Some people like that. More experienced painters would have a much better eye for it, and they'd be able to take advantage of those kinds of boards. But not me. It's going to bother me now. I need to find out what the name is of that.
I was trying to find it real quick, but I failed.
It's
So what is the purpose of the gouache thing? And it sounds like you can actually use it during any stage of the piece, or
yeah. Guess so. It's called
oh,
the primer.
all right,
Yeah, or gesso.
gouache.
I think it literally means mud or something in Italian.
Okay, I think you're right too. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Gouache. Basically, what gouache is exactly like your normal watercolors, only it's opaque. So it will it's opaque. So like you can
Oh,
normally see through watercolors. You can't see through gouache. It just covers everything in a uniform, smooth tone. So it was very popular with designers who used to design posters and things because when you lay it down, it gives you a very uniform surface that doesn't have any variation. So you can't see through it. It's like a solid block of color or white or whatever. And it's all good and well, but you can't. But as soon as you add water to it again, it becomes activated again. You know, so you couldn't apply some. So you shouldn't even be using one type of gouache over another, like one layer of gouache over another layer of gouache, because it will reactivate it. So
wow.
what you should do, I find it very difficult to paint with just gouache because you have to plan everything out and then segmentize it and use those layers of gouache on those different segments and have them overlap to a minimal from the way I've used them and from what I've seen with tutorials. What's very nice about it is that if you have something that you can lay down in layers and it stays where it is, you can add highlights over those things with gouache because you can make them stick over that, and it's going to give you another dimension to your drawing, which is very nice. So you can build. So whereas you normally you would have a process by where you'd have to conserve whites like with watercolor, you can build up whites and lighter areas with the gouache, which is great. I think with acrylics, it's the same. Then you almost get you get as much, I guess, as much range as with acrylics, in that sense, because obviously with acrylics you can treat them like watercolors, and you can build things up afterwards on top of those paints after the other paints have dried, which is really nice.
Wow, cool. Let's see here. And let's check out the video again.
Hello, Papa people. This is Karl from Papa Comics, and I want to tell you about my comic book called Mary Boys.
I've got a terrible voice.
Paying for it on Indiegogo from the 1st of September this year.
I think it's endearing.
Mary Boys is basically about four.
I feel like I've got my nose closed. I'm talking
Go around guided by the image of the Virgin Mary,
especially when you
kicking a
say
proverbial
Proper
poo out of
Comics.
bad guys to avoid
It
biblical
sounds like
apocalypse
Papa.
taking place in their hometown. They have a kind of superpower. Drinking beer actually makes them stronger and faster, but not funny or irresistible. They were also raised and taught to fight by this gnarly old priest who's basically a cross between Peter Steele of Type O Negative and Father Jack Hackett from the Father Ted Show. It's about other stuff too. I explain it all a lot better in the project description, so please have a look there. When you say the stuff out loud, it sounds sillier than it actually is. It's a black comedy, but it explores themes like social alienation, corporate greed, and family values. It's also a very British comic, so expect to find a good few cultural references and in-jokes there. This is for fans of comics like The Goon, Tank Girl, Cerebus, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and TV shows like The Young Ones and The League of Gentlemen. So here's the deal. I want to keep Mary Boy's independence and free from editorial interference, and the best way to do this is to self-publish. With this Indiegogo, I aim to raise enough money to pay for the printing and shipping costs to bring you the first 2 issues of Mary Boys containing the boys' origin story, introducing the major themes and characters prevalent in this ongoing series. For your support, you will receive a range of incentives, including print editions of the 2 comics and work from our already published catalog. So that's my pitch. If it sounds interesting, please go ahead and back it today. Thank you very much in advance for your support.
It's that last bit. It's that last bit where I go and back it today. It's like I've just given up. It's just like I don't care. I don't know what's wrong with the cadence of my voice. It just runs out of steam. But at that point, I'd done it so many times. I was just like, yeah, just do it. Just get it out there. Just put it up there. Don't niggle with it much more. It's just that last bit, but it still bothers me. It sounds, yeah.
Yeah, there's a section towards the end where it literally drops in volume for the rest of it.
It's just me losing heart. It's just me losing heart through the.
That's why towards the end I have to jack up the volume on my speaker.
Next time, I will stand in the back of a room and I'm going to shout everything out. I think that'll work. You know, it gives you a lot more gumption. You know, you have to shout something out. It makes you more exciting. I will try something totally different for the next one. Because sitting and talking doesn't work. You have to go, run around the block and run up some stairs and jump up and down and then shout it out at the top of your lungs and record yourself then.
Yeah, there you go. Yesterday we touched on thoughts about British slang and possibly creating a companion book for Mary Boys.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Mary Boys Companion. That's something I want to put up as a reward. Well, not as a reward, like an incentive for people to sign up to the mailing list that's coming up.
Oh, all right.
So I've designed the cover already. I don't know if I've put that up. I think I did, but I deleted it again because everybody got it. What happened was I posted just the cover on Twitter,
Okay.
right? And I said, just to show people, this will be the cover of the thing that you get if you sign up to the mailing list. And everybody interpreted that as the mailing list already being up, which it's not. So I kept getting messages from people. I saw this, but where's your mailing list? Where's the link? And I kept having to explain there is no mailing list. It's the spoon didn't bend. It's like, so I just took it down eventually. I just got tired of dealing with it. So I don't have it online at the moment, but yeah. So it's literally just going to explain all the references in the comics, because most of my audience are non-British. The vast majority are non-British. I think about 70% are American. 10% are European. There's some people in Australia, New Zealand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't think I've got anybody got anybody further out than that. I think I've got some people. I've got a base of support in Guam. I've actually realized, but I think it's because there's a U.S. military base out there. That's what I think. Because I've got chatting with one guy out there, nice chap, who's in the military. He was there. Who ran across the comic and really liked it. And I think he's been telling other people about it because I've been getting quite a few orders for Guam since then. So that's been quite cool. But so yeah, I don't think I think it's like I could put them under the American sort of influence there. But mostly it's mostly that. So it's mostly non-British. So we've maybe got about 15 to 20% of my audience is actually British. So I felt the need that, okay, there's a lot of stuff that's, you can read the comic and you can enjoy it, but there's still a lot of stuff that there are a lot of references and in jokes there that you're not necessarily going to understand unless you know where they come from. So I thought it would be cool to put just like a little booklet together explaining everything, and maybe talk about more of the motivation behind why I told the story the way I told it, what my inspirations and things like it were on certain things, just to give people a little bit of additional insight.
That sounds
maybe cool. Just I thought it's nice just to lay it out there, and eventually one day I might compile, because I've been making a lot of additional things. You would have backed the tier that had the making of the making of Merry Boys, that had all that additional art and the notes on the creative process. That booklet, this booklet that I was just talking about, and all the art prints, I think at some point I might just put that in a book of its own. Maybe in a hardback or something. Possibly, I don't know, because I keep making additional sort of add-ons and things that aren't really part of the comics. So maybe I'll put that together in a form. I'll see if there's enough material eventually to justify it, and there's a demand for it. I might just do a campaign for that. But that'll be much further down the line when people actually know who I am. Care a lot more about my books. I guess just when people want more than just the comics, they're also keen on all the other stuff that I've added over the years.
Yeah, I mean, if it's any indication, the response you got from your posting the preview of the cover of the companion book that is the incentive to sign up for the early bird mailing list, it's proof or evidence of the interest you've generated. So, you got people who are actively ready to sign up on your mailing list.
It's very cool. Yeah, I mean, normally, I would think that you'd have to constantly push people to try and sell your stuff. I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at sneaking it in there the whole time. Hey, you want to buy some comics? Hey, you want to support this? Hey, can I put you on my list so I can spam you later so you can maybe buy some comics further down the line? Hey, I got some T-shirts. Do you want to buy a T-shirt? So I'm bad. I'm just, you know what I mean? It's just like I'll be happy to just be the guy who just draws the stuff, or writes and draws the stuff and just forgets. But I find myself in a position where I'm also the one who has to promote. And pack and sorry.
Your wife's name is listed on the campaign.
Yeah.
Does she do a chunk of the promotion as well, or does she focus on the Indiegogo side of things?
She's got quite a lot of experience as an eBay seller. So she's on the campaign because she's the one who's posting everything out, doing all the labeling and dealing with the follow-ups. She helps with the follow-up stuff, missing parcels, tracking, all that sort of thing, just the normal customer service stuff. So I do that. I do that too, but she gives me a lot of help in that department.
So when it comes to promotion, you're pretty much it.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, the thing is, she did like ponder, like, what would it be like if I got onto streams and started talking? But then she's like, I don't, she doesn't know about all, because I mean, with CG, you have to keep up to date with what's happening. You have to, all the talking points and things that are happening in the industry. Like, for example, with this whole Dynamite thing, those are the big talking points. You need you need to know the lay of the land. You need to know the things that have happened and gone down. She doesn't know anything about that, and she wouldn't be able to have a conversation with somebody about that.
Oh, you guys
So
talk about that stuff in your free time?
yeah, well, she's a normal person. She's not a comic geek. She married into comic geekdom. But she likes. She does read comics though. She does. She really likes. Sandman. She loves the Lucifer series by Mike Carey. That's that Sandman spinoff. That's quite good. I've actually got the whole collection, but I haven't read any of that myself, which is
Oh,
kind of weird. She likes Cerebus. She really likes Cerebus, and a whole bunch of other things. So yeah, no, she reads comic books. She's just not like mega geeky about it, like like I am, I guess.
I just thought you might be, you might come across the news and go like, "Holy cow! Look what just happened!" And then you go to your wife and tell her all about it, and
She'd be like,
she
"What?"
then she listens patiently and then says, "Yes, dear." I
Yeah,
know.
what do you want for dinner?
But
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's like my territory, I guess. So
well, I mean, considering you're at 17,000, you're doing pretty good with it. Going on streams and stuff and promoting your book, advertising on Twitter. Uh, have you found any one particular type of social media more helpful in promotion of your campaign than another?
it's a toss up between Twitter and YouTube. Outside of Indiegogo, I'd say probably YouTube I've gotten the most. I would assume. I mean, you can't really see the conversion numbers. Actually, you can. If you look at your campaign breakdown, you can see what but you don't. But the thing is, I'm not sure how that works. Whether I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure how accurate those things are. If they mask origin points of those links.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. The biggest obvious boost for me was going onto Ethan's channel. My campaign just skyrocketed after that.
yeah.
So YouTube definitely, because other people let me onto their platforms and kindly helped me. So with Twitter, it's obviously different. It's your own sort of, or you ask people to retweet you and stuff like that, but it hasn't got that immediate sort of impact like a YouTube show.
Uh-huh.
So probably YouTube. I should spend more time on YouTube. The only stuff that I post is now recently I did like a little video about the shirt, and before then it was like an update from months and months ago. So I should get back into it. The thing is, I've got my weekly stream with Comicsgate UK,
All right, yeah.
and apart from that, I don't really do much YouTube. I should do a lot more, but right now I'm in like this. I might actually take a bit of a break from social media for a while, so I can just focus on getting my stuff ready for the launch of the next campaign.
If you were to come up with like a percentage of the progress of your fulfillment of your campaign, where do you think that percentage would lie?
Oh, what, for the current campaign? Yeah, I'd say it's 99% fulfilled. It's literally the people who backed over the last 2 days stuff which hasn't been posted out yet. But now we're at the point where as soon as I get an order, like everything that's been ordered has been sent out, and if we get new orders in, pack them, post them the next day or the day thereafter. So yeah, we're just cruising along now.
Yeah, that's awesome. It must be a good feeling. Must be a good feeling, and also since you're you are self-fulfilling, right? You're doing all the boxing and everything yourself.
Yeah, well, if you look behind me, you see all these boxes.
All right.
The camera. It's weird with a different. But if you could see behind me,
Uh-huh.
there we go. Those are all boxes full of comics and envelopes and things. So yeah, pack them, post them, pack them, label them, post them, all in house. But I think that's the way most people do this. Even Ethan, I mean, he got a fulfillment company involved for Blood Honey.
Yeah.
For this current campaign, which is bigger than Blood Honey, he's doing it all himself. He's doing it all at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that says something. It tells me, as a little guy with not a fraction of his backers, that yeah, until I hit far beyond that, I hit his numbers, I should be doing everything at home.
It
So there's
seems
no point getting a fulfillment company. That's all.
it seems
Better off doing it yourself. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to add that it seems to make the most sense, particularly because you have more control from a customer service perspective, and
Totally.
you have the ability to present your customers with tracking numbers, and
Yeah.
that's really important to people because it gives them a clearer idea as to what the ETA is.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't speak. I don't know what the setup is with Ethan's or anybody else's fulfillment when they use a fulfillment center. But I would think that the fulfillment center would send things out, and if there are issues, they come out. They come back. The customers come straight back to you. Then you've got to touch base with the fulfillment center to figure out what happened, and you're just creating work for yourself because it wouldn't be within your sphere of knowledge exactly what happened. You would have to ask them for their records to check, to go then back to your customer and to try and fix it. That's the problem. So because they're going to send it out, they're going to fulfill for you, but are they going to be dealing with customer queries? Do you want them to deal with customer queries? That's the other question. Nobody cares as much about your comics and your projects and your campaign as you do. Just a fact. Yeah. That's true. As you said, Facebook is useless as a promotional tool as itself. I mean, if the only time I get any sort of traction, what I've done is I've joined a whole lot of comic related groups, and then I will physically post and repost my stuff on every single one of those.
Wow.
It's a bit tedious, but that's the only way you get it, and then it still doesn't get that much traction. People, they've monopolized it to the point where if you want to have any sort of audience seeing your stuff, even people you're friends with, you have to line their pockets. So I'm up to here with Facebook.
Yeah, it's annoying the hell out of me. It annoys the hell out of me. I do most of my promotion of creators' books. I usually do it through my business page on Facebook, but every now and again when I'm trying to push especially hard for a title, especially one that still hasn't yet been funded, I'll make an exception and post it to my personal account on Facebook, because on my personal account I have over 1,000 quote unquote friends, but on my business one I've only got maybe 50. 50, and then also on the business page I usually get like 1 or 2 hits for every post.
And what does that tell you? I mean, it's stupid to think that can be the case, because if you put in those keywords and comic books, and it's going to get you a certain amount of hits and views. They're obviously throttling it so that you don't. It gives you a motivation to pay them.
Yeah.
And that's really disheartening, and especially with all the policing and stuff that's going on. It's
censorship.
I don't like
censorship. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not interested anymore in Facebook. It used to be fun. I compared it to a club that everybody goes to, but then eventually your parents show up right? And they join it, and then all the weird people that you weren't friends with at school, they show up and they want to be pals with you all of a sudden, where there's never, where they treat you like dirt before. Then a lot of people show up who want to sell you stuff, like really shadily, and eventually the wardens come in, and the whole place becomes like a concentration camp where you can't say anything, you can't post stuff, so it just becomes too much hassle. It doesn't feel free and fun anymore. It just yeah.
I mean, I've been using this other website called MeWe, and they're supposed they're supposed to have the philosophy of, we're not going to bug you with loads and loads of tracking bots and stuff. We're not going to focus on every little thing you do and then cater advertisements to you. But I don't have much of a following there either. I don't know if I don't know if it's because I'm not making an effort to go and follow people and friend them, or what the dealio is. But so far, I haven't had much traction there either.
Far fewer people. Fewer people. That's the sad thing. Most people, everybody's got a Facebook account, and it's unfortunately, it's like it's almost like not having like a website if you don't have a Facebook presence. People look at you with suspicion if you don't have that. People look you up. Prospective employer will look at your Facebook and they will expect to see one. If they don't see one, they will think, why doesn't this person have a Facebook? It's just so common. Everybody's got one.
Right.
That's all. There are so many people there. That's all. I just think, but and smaller ones like Parler. I haven't had much trouble getting traction on Parler, but it also dies down quite quickly because it's not as user friendly as Twitter.
Oh, it isn't? Oh, wow.
No, it isn't. No, it is. It's a bit clunky.
I've been
concerned.
I've been thinking about creating an account there, but I have so many social media accounts already. It's like so much to deal with, so much to keep track of, and all the usernames and passwords you have to memorize.
Yeah, it's a pain, and it does. And social media, you spend a lot of time on it. It's the same. I'm coming to the same point where it's like TV in a sense. Only TV is more enjoyable than social media. Social media seems to be like a necessary evil. To be able to do business and get yourself up. And the only reason I'm doing comic books right is because of social media, because that's the only form of advertising I've got. People, talking about my stuff, talking with people about my stuff, doing shows about comics and stuff. That's what it is. So you've got to do it to be able to be in the game. But it can really take over your life. It can it can take up all your time and become a thing of by itself, and and other things can start to suffer as a result of that. That's all. That's what I have against it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I came in to Comicsgate, like I said, maybe September, October of last year, and I got so thrilled with it. It reinvigorated my interest in comic books. It made me excited again about quality comics that didn't have some stupid agenda behind it. And it got me so excited that I became a promoter and created a whole channel dedicated to promoting, in part promoting everything CG related, but the other half of my channel is like all kinds of silly nonsense and stuff supporting the Fandom Menace, which is all about trying to return to normalcy, back to quality content in our beloved franchises that we grew up with, like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and Ghostbusters. So, but a huge chunk of my time is dedicated to Comicsgate right now. And I easily spend a good 8 hours a day. It's like
Wow.
a full-time job, 8 hours a day
Yeah.
in promotion mode. I mean, part of it is enjoying the content released by creators and um, other promoters like Mandy Summers, Charlie's London, uh, Martina Marcota, Sheila Allen, but also it's taking the time to promote books. And typically, most of my streams where I'm promoting books are on average about 2 hours long. And when I pack let's see, I typically do like 8 to 10 book promos per week.
Whoa.
So
I've seen that you've been busy. I didn't know you were that busy. You know, that's a lot. That's
on a good week. There are times where I get kind of burned out because I'm consuming so much digital content and I'm spending so much time sitting in on these really long ass streams that I need to take a break from time to time. But
yeah, I feel you, yeah.
But when I can, when I've got the time, I try and pack in as many streams as I can because I really want people to succeed. I want to see them get funded. I want to see already funded books get further funded and all that good stuff too. Because I essentially want to put my money and my time where my mouth is. You know, I don't want to be like a hypocrite. So statistical says MeWe has a great interface, but you might as well talk to yourself. It's dead. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like too.
I suspected that was the case.
That's what it feels like when I'm using it. It's like I'm slowly now getting other people's messages, but usually it's related to politics and current news, current topics. And when I promote, Comicsgate books, every now and again someone will comment and say, "Hey, I just subbed to you, sub me back." One of those kinds of things. Like,
yeah.
scratch my back, I scratch yours.
They never watch your channel. They never, it's a bit, yeah. It's an artificial way of boosting your numbers. I don't understand that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I always follow back, and it's like, okay, but it looks a little. All it means is my profile and your profile are both going to look a little bit better on paper. But sorry, just kill that. It's going to look a little bit. It's going to look a little bit better on paper, but essentially, it's an inflated number. You don't have what you profess to have. So, what's the point of that?
Yeah. Excuse me. Matanui was asking what MeWe is, and Statistical replied, "Is a social media site that's kind of like Facebook, was back in say 2008, 2009." Yeah, and their whole shtick is, we're not gonna bombard you with advertisements or do all kinds of tracking. Actually, that's what there's a search engine I use called DuckDuckGo, which I'm using instead of Google nowadays, because they're also kind of that same mindset. They figure, hey, we don't want to be overly intrusive like Google is and track every little movement you make. And it's like you'll do a search in Google, and let's say you're shopping for baby diapers, and then Facebook's this way too. And then days or weeks will pass, and you'll start seeing advertisements on baby diapers.
Yeah. I've been getting ads for, but I've been getting ads for male shorts. like these tight male shorts, and I don't know where the fuck they came from. Everywhere. I could go through my face. It was like I just noticed it the other day, but it was ad upon ad upon ad upon ad of these hipster male undies, and I'm like, what is this? What did I type in that brought this upon me?
Do you think maybe your wife, when you weren't looking, did some searches for tight male undies, so that it would give you a hint that she's into that?
Yeah, always secure your Facebook. Don't let people log in there and post all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah, the weirdest stuff will come up, and then they'll assume that you're in on that stuff all the time. I mean, it's crazy how detailed they get. They research the psychology of it all, and what people's buying habits are, what drives people to buy. They do all these studies, and
honestly, I've never ever bought anything off the back of a Facebook ad, so I have a lot to learn about me.
Yeah, I don't think
when I start running Comicsgate ads, then maybe we can start talking. But
yeah, there you go.
There we go.
That's an interesting thought. Let's see here. So checking out the tiers, you've now got this featured perk, and as I always say in every stream, I love when creators do a featured perk because it gives you the best bang for your buck and also gives you the opportunity to thoroughly experience, the book that you're getting. This one comes with a T-shirt and print comics actually.
It's the 2 comics, yeah, plus a T-shirt.
Yeah, plus you get access to the digital issues of 1 and 2 of Merry Boys, plus Sparko, your graphic novel. Did you say that was like over 100 pages?
175 pages.
Holy cow! Woo wee. Oh yeah, speaking of the T-shirt, that is a really cool shirt. Let's watch this video real quick.
Yeah, play the video. My little boy actually chimed in on that, which is great. Totally unscripted.
It's T-shirt.
Let's do it this way.
T-shirts. Whoa, look at that.
What's that?
That's T-shirts. Whoa, look at that. Look at that.
You made it.
Screen printed Merry Boys T-shirts. Coming to you from Proper Comics. Comes in the front. And the Proper Comics print on the back.
That's nice and clean. Yeah, that's nice and clean. Oops.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how I'm so impressed. It's not the easiest way to do T-shirts by far. It's a nightmare when it comes to stock taking. You've got to put money up front beforehand. Print on demand is just so much easier. You can you just submit your design and you collect your money at the end of every month. If you go through sites like Spreadshirt or Redbubble or whatever the case may be, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. You're not going to get the same shirt out of it at the end of the day. So this was also like one of those things where I just really wanted a Merry Boy shirt for myself, and yeah, so yeah, it's one of those things. I think I mentioned to you before that the actual image for the Merry Boy shirt, that was a backers sketch.
Yeah,
it was for somebody who never asked, who asked but never told me what they wanted for drawing. So I just did a whole bunch of drawings of the boys individually, and this one just caught my eye, and I was like, this would actually make a nice shirt.
Yeah.
So it kind of, yeah, I wasn't planning to do a shirt, but it just happened that way.
Excuse me. And do you? I think you were describing this as like a thick gummy material.
Yeah, it's well, the shirt's 100% cotton and it's nice and soft. But the prints, I mean, if you nowadays with print on demand shirts, if you feel the texture of it, the ink soaks into the material. That's why you can't really do this on dark shirts. You can't do it effectively because it doesn't sit on top. The ink doesn't sit on top of the shirt. It kind of bonds with it, right? So the darkness of the t-shirt will shine through, and you're not going to get that standout sort of. You're not going to have that nice high contrast that you would normally have with older t-shirts from the 1980s and 90s. When you run your fingers across it, you can feel, it's like that gum sort of feeling that you have, and that's because of the process. They last a long time. They don't fade, and that's exactly what I wanted to get. And of course, the print area is also pretty big. I forget what the exact measurements are. It's on the. I think it actually says there on the tier. If you click on the tier details, but it's a nice big print area. It's not because another problem that I have with print on demand is it kind of, yeah, 12 by, I can't see
17
that.
and a half. Actually, you put in here 12 feet by 17 and a half feet.
Oh shit, it's not that big.
It expands and contracts.
I can't change that now because people have backed that, but
Yeah.
but hopefully it's fair enough by implication.
They'll get the idea.
Yeah, but yeah, so you're restricted on with print on demand, like you to this block, to this rectangle that you could put. You could put anything in the rectangle, but it can't be any bigger than that. And with screen printing, you can adjust the screen size to whatever you want. So it's got that going for it. I'm not saying that all print on demand is bad. It's just finding one that's the right kind of quality. Because if you want to do it on dark t-shirts, you have to lay down a layer of white over it. You first have to prime it with white in the same shape as your print, and then print over that white layer in dark or colored ink, whatever the case may be. And that apparently works. But I don't know. That's the thing. I haven't. I've got experience of ordering from Redbubble and from Spreadshirt, and it isn't like that. It's okay. I mean, it's all right if you're ordering white shirts, but not dark ones. Definitely not. And I kind of, for Mary Boys, I just knew it had to be a black shirt. It just,
Gotcha.
Maybe if I've got ideas for a white t-shirt design. Maybe I can do it on them. Then I still don't know what the quality of the print is. I'll have to go through a process of elimination and just see for myself. I'm very picky where it comes to the quality of the stuff that I put down. So
yeah, with that gummy-like image, does it mean that the inside of the shirt is going to be kind of scratchy? Or
no, it's not. No, it's soft. It's really soft and comfortable.
Oh, cool. And with it being 100% cotton, is it pre-shrunk cotton?
Pre-shrunk. I'm not sure. What do you mean by pre-shrunk?
Supposedly, if it's pre-shrunk, I don't know if they literally run it through washing machines ahead of time, industrial size ones. But
I see what you mean.
It minimizes the chances of the shirt shrinking after you stick it in and wash it.
I don't know. I'm actually not sure of that.
All right.
Sure of that.
The tags will usually say one way or the other. Speaking of the tags, is it a physical tag on the back of the neck, or is it one of those that is like printed on?
It's physical. Let me get its shirts out. Have a look. That's the benefit of having everything in the same room.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
While you're getting a shirt out, you were talking about how you had some inventory of your Mary Boys books, issues 1 and 2. Did you? I'm assuming you had some overprinting so that you could account for any that might arrive damaged that you need to replace. But did you?
Oh yeah, that's it. I mean, with printing, yeah, I overprinted by about, let's see, a thousand. Yeah, no, let me see. How did this work? I was it funded with 257 backers. So technically, I would only have needed 257 or thereabouts copies of each book, right? But I ordered 2,000 because the price between ordering 500 and ordering 2,000 is actually quite negligible per unit, because what you pay for is the setup fees.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It makes sense just to overprint. And the plan is, I always want these 2 comics to be available. You know, I want people to keep buying them.
Nice.
Oh, cheers, Dad. Have a good day, and we chat to you later, no doubt.
Good to have you, Sato. You take it easy, and also have a great day.
I think everybody should overprint, yeah, before for replacements. I mean, the worst is if something gets damaged or goes missing, and then you're not in a position to replace it for your backer. I mean, that must be catastrophic, because it will cost you a lot of money to go back and just print 1 or 2 copies or 10 copies or whatever the case may be. So you need to be careful about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a necessity. Is just properly judging how much to overprint, I guess, is the way to look at it.
Yeah. But like I said, yeah, it's just it's so cheap. The cost between 1,000 and 2,000, it's not. It's literally, I think, £100 or £200 or something. It's not in comparison to how much the first 1,000 cost. It's totally makes. If you've got the room in your house and you plan on to keep making the comics, to make more comics in the same, it totally makes sense to overprint.
Right.
So let's see here. Right. So because my printer is in Poland, this shirt is from the Czech Republic.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's cool. I picked him because I've got a friend who's into metal, and they do shirts, and they're very picky about their shirts. And he recommended this guy because he does a really good job. So I was like, hey, I also want somebody to do a good job of mine.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked. It worked out like that. So it's got the address here in the Czech Republic, and it says here, I'm just trying to find the 100. Okay, it says, okay, in English, it's 100% cotton, wash with similar colors, wash and iron inside out. But it doesn't say if it's pre-shrunk or anything like that.
Gotcha. All right.
But yeah, I mean, I know you get those shirts that are scratchy.
Yeah.
You put them on, it's kind of, it doesn't feel. It feels like you're wearing a one of those hair suits or something. It's not like out of it. It's nice and comfortable. Very comfortable.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I was concerned about. Getting that scratchy feel, which makes
your nipples are raw after the first day because they've been rubbing against your hard print T-shirt.
Yeah, it's to the point at which where it gets so uncomfortable that you don't want to wear the T-shirt anymore, and it defeats the purpose, you know.
Yep.
And here you are modeling it.
Yeah, I've been told I need a different model.
Oh.
I'll get my sister's coming to visit us in a few months' time, so maybe I'll get her to model it. She's I don't know. She's a good looking girl, so yeah, she'll probably get a lot more views than this fat bald guy.
What you can do is
makes the comments.
You can do a picture of the two of you together, so you can see how it lays on a man and lays on a female. You know?
Might be a plan. Yeah, I've asked my wife to post. She's like, no, I don't want to. I don't
Really?
want to put myself out. Yeah,
Oh,
because of the whole CG thing. I think
oh,
there's also a lot of people taking the piss sometimes with female creators, and she's like, no, don't want any of that. Don't want any of that noise. So get
I
it.
hear you. I hear you. I
Yeah,
get that.
but my sister's not involved with it at all, and she won't be in future. So whatever.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let me see here. And then in a previous update, you actually mentioned you got the size chart in centimeters. Um,
Yeah, you know what I never did, what I said I would, but I didn't, was put up. I actually created a size chart in inches, but I forgot to put it up there. But what I did do was I put the chest measurements in the actual description of the perk, so it'll tell
yeah,
you what. Yeah. But I forgot to do that because a lot of people are interested in the actual length of the shirt and the length of the sleeve and that stuff.
yeah, because I don't know, maybe I'm slow, but I ended up sending your wife a question about it because I was trying to measure myself, and because I don't have one of those sewing tape measures, I try to use a. I know this is gonna be silly, but I try to use a ruler, right?
Oh, right.
A physical ruler that measures 13 inches. The other side is millimeters, so I ignored that. So I measured this, and then I press that against my body and try to measure it out in 13-inch increments. And
What you should do? Why don't you just take a shirt that you wear and that you feel comfortable with,
uh,
and then just measure the cut from the armpits.
oh,
Because that'll be the same.
oh,
Yeah. So lay it flat. Yeah.
oh, wait. So it's going from one armpit to the other. It's not all the way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's from the seam. Of,
Oh,
it'll
okay.
be from the base of that armpit. If you had to lay it completely flat, then so you'll measure it from the one armpit to the other, and then you multiply it by 2, and that'll give you the whole circumference.
Oh, all right. So you are measuring the circumference. Okay. You just do
Yeah,
it
yeah, but
like
yeah, it's
circumference.
in two halves. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Yeah, because even after I did that, and then I converted inches to centimeters using a software converter, the numbers didn't seem to add up. You know. So
If you don't mind me asking, how tall are you?
5'11".
5'11". Okay,
I
so
I don't know
just
if
a
it makes,
touch.
don't
Sorry.
know if it makes a difference, but I weigh about 215, 220. Uh,
Let's see, how much is that in kilograms? 220 pounds,
let me see if I can.
2 grams. Okay, yeah. You're probably a 2XL,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And one of the people in our previous stream was suggesting I go one up what I usually wear,
Yeah.
and I
I think
usually
that's a good rule of thumb.
yeah, um, and I usually wear XL, so that would make sense. Yeah,
Mm.
when I was doing my math, I don't know, somewhere along the line I did something wrong, but I came out to like 71.12 centimeters on the A, which is the oh shoot, where was the diagram?
Oh, centimeters. Okay. Yeah, that's the
This
centimeters
size
one.
chart is in centimeters. I was going based off of this, although now that uh, now I'm remembering you once shared with me the inches chart as well.
Yep.
But when I took my inches and I did rough measurements on myself, and then I converted them into centimeters, I came out with where'd it go? 71.12 centimeters. So that would be just past a medium, but under a large. And then the chest area is where everything was out of proportion, because it calculated out to 99.06 centimeters, which is exceeding 3XL on the chest measurement. And then H, which is the length of the sleeve, I have 22.86 centimeters, which is just over a medium but under a large. So I'm doing something wrong. I'm not sure exactly what, but I think I'll just go and order the 2XL.
Mm-hmm.
And just
I think that sounds about right. Because it's 121 centimeter chest, which sounds about right for your weight. You're going to be a bit stockier than me, I think.
Could be.
Like
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not actually sure what I weigh right now. I think I weigh about 92 or something kilograms, which is about 210 pounds. Chances are. So yeah, and I wear I think 210, and I'm an XL. But it's a nice, it's kind of. It also depends on how baggy you like them. Like this is quite not tight, but it's quite close to the body.
Okay.
Whereas other people like more baggy. So yeah, depends on that too, I guess.
Right.
Mm.
Makes sense. Yeah,
I'll take another one and take the sleeves off. I think just because I've got lots of t-shirts, and I can do that.
So you can have a muscle shirt and show off your big guns.
Yeah. It'll obviously be a much smaller shirt, so I'll look bigger. But,
oh, there you go. Yeah, so you're busting at the seams. Exactly. Good plan. Thick gummy print, high quality, black, 200. What is G/M?
Grams per meter.
Oh, all right. And Malfini is like the manufacturer of the shirt.
Yeah, it's the brand. Yeah, it's the brand. I actually looked it up afterwards, and I'm like, okay, it isn't that common. So I thought if I said, because that's what I got from the printer.
Oh, all right.
He said that's the shirts. Those are the shirts that they use. And I'm like, okay, because normally I the shirts that I like are Fruits of the Loom. I can always go with that. But I've been told Fruits of the Loom aren't that good anymore. They used to be really good, but I haven't bought those for quite a long time. So I just went with what he recommended, and yeah, it's been a good recommendation.
Yeah, Fruits of the Loom quality seems to have degraded over the years, and they don't seem to be as good quality as they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a trend now for very thin shirts, very thin, very stretchy, sort of. And I imagine it's this damn hipsters pushing that trend for these raggedy little shirts that'll just stretch out at, if you do anything in them except go to some bloody tofu bar. They'll just fall to pieces. I like something that's a little bit more durable than that. And Fruit of the Loom was good. You can go out on the piss in the night. You can go into a mosh pit. You can mess beer in it. You can go crazy in it, and it's still going to be fine. You just chuck it in the wash. The other stuff I don't feel so confident with, but this one feels good. It feels like it's adventure ready.
So, nice. Yeah. That's good to know. I'm doubly excited now. Excuse me.
Brilliant.
We've got the digital premium book, which you have some interest in that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's people. The thing is with the digital stuff. At first I thought there'll be loads of people buying digital comics because they wouldn't have to have it shipped. It'll get to them first because I did ship them out first.
Oh, you did? All right.
Well, yeah, I sent the emails around first saying, okay, here's your digital copies in anticipation of you receiving your print copies, and I still do. When people back the project, I pop them an email so they can read the comics while they're waiting for the physical ones. most people don't read them. Most people say, I don't particularly want to spoil the experience by reading something digitally. I want to wait for something physical. And I feel the same way. I feel I'm not a fan of digital comics. I spend so much time in front of the computer as it is. I don't want to spend time in front of it when I'm reading comic books as well. So I don't know if I'm going to, and considering I haven't had that many people back, just the digital stuff. And it's a bit of a pain emailing them out and keeping tabs on, who's ordered it, who hasn't, etc., etc. So I think for the next one, I don't think there's any point in offering them. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of digital either. I literally like the experience of holding it in my hands, flipping through the pages, actually smelling the ink and the paper.
there's nothing like that. I got a whole pack of old 2000 ADs from the 1980s. Like these comics were okay. They're all oversized, much bigger than American comics. Printed on newsprint, all black and white on the inside, and it's line art. And you could not replicate that on a digital level. You just can't do it. It's a totally different experience.
Yeah, you don't have smell-o-vision.
Yeah, you need smell-o-vision. The texture of the pages, and now it's the mustiness of the pages too, because it's if you crawling through. But there is definitely something to it that you can't. It's just a different experience, and I don't think people value digital. I just don't think so. If I pay, I mean, I don't even know how much a digital comic actually costs because it's never occurred to me to buy one. Do you know how much they're?
They're usually the same price as what you get them in the comic book shops.
What, for a digital comic is the same cost as a print comic?
That's what I've seen and heard. But
are you serious?
Yeah, literally, which doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean you don't have the distributor to pay. Diamond takes a massive cut of of those distributions. I think it's like 40% or something like that, and it's the retailer that takes a cut for stocking it on their shelves. It's huge. So the publisher is making, all they'll have to pay is the platform fee, and obviously the cost of making it. But it's a huge difference, and they don't want to pass any of those savings on to the consumer because at the end of the day, you don't have a comic that you can sell on if you were speculating. There's got absolutely zero speculative value. There's no investment value there, so you couldn't save it, bag it, board it, and if you wanted to sell it, value it and sell it at a later stage. So it shouldn't be nearly as much.
Right. I mean, that's what I've heard, and that's my understanding. Although there's supposed to be some comic book sites, websites, or apps that charge you a subscription fee to access it. So,
right, like a streaming service, almost like.
Yeah, like what? One of them I came across was like $50 a month.
All right.
So I guess it is heavily reliant on what route you take, which solution you go for. But I haven't been impressed with any of the interfaces yet. I'm not thrilled with having to, repeatedly click all over the place. I don't like having to drag and, scroll up and down, left and right. With the physical media, you could just, snap your eyes to wherever you want on the page in a moment.
It takes you out of the reading experience. If you have to look somewhere else, click on a button, whatever,
Yep.
You can just look closer, pull it away, flick back. Yeah, it's I don't know. Even with the tablets, I mean, I've got a tablet.
Yeah.
Just for reading books, and I thought comics would be a good option on that too, but no.
Yeah, it's just not the same. And Kim says that's true. I still prefer the print copies. I think what we're finding out to be pretty common is that those in Comicsgate, on the whole, prefer print copies.
Definitely.
There's
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that. I think I'm one of the few people who actually do digital comic books.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna put a stop to that.
Yeah, there are a few campaigns out there because everyone's trying to find solutions to reduce cost of shipping. But I think ultimately, if I were to run a campaign, I would probably go with what some people are doing, where you sell 2 or 4 or 5 copies of the same book as like a bundle pack, so that you and your friends can go in together, and then you effectively split the shipping costs across however many people get the book.
Yeah, it's just shipping to the. Yeah, I have to crunch some numbers, and the reason I didn't do that for this campaign, or something that only occurred to me later to do, and by that time I'd bought all my mailers, so I would have to buy another shipment of bigger mailers for more comics to fit into them. Because right now, it's good for the 2 comics plus the making of book plus all the. It's good for a top tier perk, for all the benefits you get from that, but it wouldn't be good for doing 2 sets of A4 comics. There just wouldn't be enough room. I think it would be too much of a stretch, or maybe, but not. If 2, definitely not 3. So I have to plan that out a bit. I think I'm going to offer it for the next one, but I have to just look at the practicalities.
Have you gotten maybe enough feedback from customers who would desire something like that, or is there demand for
people who have shown me that they would like it. There have been guys who have backed it 3 times or 4 times. Not that many, but there have been. So that tells me that they would have liked it. I mean, they would have liked to have saved on the shipping cost.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm that way. I've backed several campaigns multiple times, in part because number 1, they didn't have the add-on option, and number 2, they didn't quite have a collection of goodies and swag that I could combine all together at once, to reduce on shipping. So, like, I've backed campaigns like EVS's several times. So it's good. So I'm incurring multiple shipping costs as a result. I've backed the Grim Reaper multiple times.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So there's a whole batch of campaigns that I've actually multiple backed, and I'm getting hit with multiple shipping charges, which kind of bums me.
I know, and it's not fair because that's not how much it costs. I mean, for me, like with me shipping from the UK, it's always I typically take a hit on what I ship out if it's to the States, so that'll cut into the actual price of the comic. Other parts of the world, not so much. It's but then I make up for it again with. It's just like you can't over engineer this thing and try and account for every single sort of possible situation. So you choose your shipping tiers in a way that it kind of balances out in the end.
Yeah.
But shipping to America especially is always quite expensive. It's always gonna cut into your there's always more money involved. It was shipping T-shirts too. It's because it's not books, because there's a different you can't ship it as a large letter. It has got to be in a small parcel, regardless of how small, if it's only 1 T-shirt or whatever. So the shipping costs are higher just as a rule. So that's just another thing that I wasn't aware of, where printed on demand would have been easier and cheaper because it would have shipped from the US or wherever the ship on demand company has got a printer.
Right.
So, you know,
Right. True.
live and learn. Yeah.
And then we've got the print comics, presently at 12. What is the G for? Is it Great British pounds?
Yep.
All right. Or $15 USD. What? The logo looks like a dollar sign with arrows spinning in a counterclockwise direction.
I haven't seen that's kind of weird watching it on your screen, you know, because me it just gives the pound one, but it doesn't give me it doesn't give me a conversion into another currency.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, and normally it tells me like if I look if somebody's going through my campaign and it's an American reviewer and they look at it, it gives you the dollar value. It doesn't give you maybe this is a new thing. I don't know, but if I look at mine, it just says mine just says on a featured tier, it says 30 great GBP, but it doesn't say anything else. It doesn't have that little field at the bottom.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I understand the dollar sign, but I don't understand what the heck the arrows are supposed to represent. Like, are you recycling money? Are you money laundering?
No idea. That's handy though, because you can. Maybe it's a new thing. So when you can see it in a different currency, it kind of it just shows you in real time what it's worth. Maybe it means that that's a variable amount of money because the exchange rate changes.
Oh,
I guess.
maybe. Oh, there's a good idea. All right, let's see here.
15.
Digital. All right, so the print comics, issues 1 and 2. And then we've got the Mary Boys t-shirt. So this is a t-shirt by itself.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right on.
And I did that for like people who want more than one T-shirt. I found that some people want to take advantage of that. So
Yeah. And you even save money on that. 20, 40. Well, I mean, all right. Let's see here.
yeah, I chose the same postage as I do. It's just a touch more postage than it is for the sending a single one.
Cool. And then you have the original interior page. Original interior page only. All right.
Yeah, because it was after I did. Remember, you backed that, and then I did the sketch because the sketch was included in that tier. So what I did was I was like, okay, I've done enough sketches for this campaign now. So I changed it, and I just I reduced the amount of the backing, and just made it a simple thing where you just get the page without comic. Because I figured that at this point of the campaign, most people will have the comic who are interested. So yeah, just to make it a bit more accessible.
Now, there were at least 2 of us, myself and a woman, I believe, who had gotten interior pages, if I remember.
Yeah, it's whenever you change it, it goes back to 0 because you're effectively creating a new tier.
And so, do you still have 10 pages?
Yeah, I've got a load. I've still got. Well, let me see. In total, I think I've sold 8 pages.
Oh wow!
8, yeah.
Nice.
So there should be another. I don't know how many 30 something pages left.
Okay, cool. All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I have to break for dinner a little bit later on.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're about to close off anyway.
Yeah, we did another nice long stretch.
Yeah. So we're ending tonight today. Well, over here it's 12:11 in the afternoon. Excuse me. $17,023 USD for 494 backers. Pretty sweet. You broke the 17,000 mark. That's nice. Good.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'm wondering, where this will go. Because I'm thinking of what I want to do is just take a bit of hiatus from streams and stuff, and just focus on getting the mailing list out for the next comic. Just do all the work around that, all the additional art and stuff that I wanted to do, and then just see if that boosts the current campaign, which I expect it probably will. Whenever you do something new, then it kind of just draws attention back onto the existing one.
Yep, for sure.
So might see some more support on there.
There's
But
a
interesting.
interest. Was there a place where you outlined potential stretch goals? Like,
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, there was that I did. I took those out because they're not relevant anymore. Because what they were, there was a stretch goal for the making of book,
uh,
and then I did like so we hit that, and I fulfilled to everybody who got that, and to a whole bunch of backers after that. But then when we started running low on the actual making of, then I removed it.
so the making of book is like limited edition.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Yeah, it only came up. I think it was when we hit 10,000 USD. I said, okay, cool. I'll check it in an extra comic book. Well, not a comic book, but like an art book of some sort.
Sweet. It adds value when there's a limited number run.
Yeah, I've got a few left for replacements in case in case something had to go missing. But I'll just don't know. I might like I said, maybe one day when I've got a lot of materials together from all the little extras and bits and bobs and prints and things like that, I might put everything together in an art book. But we'll see.
Sweet.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's go ahead and run this intro video once more.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Papa people. This is Karl from Papa Comics, and I want to tell you about my comic book called F.A.M.I.L.Y. Boys. I'll be launching a crowdfunding campaign for it on Indiegogo from the 1st of September this year. F.A.M.I.L.Y. Boys is basically about four little hoodlums with birth defects who go around, guided by the image of the Virgin Mary, kicking the proverbial poo out of bad guys to avoid a biblical apocalypse taking place in their hometown. They have a kind of superpower. Drinking beer actually makes them stronger and faster, but not funny or irresistible. They were also raised and taught to fight by this gnarly old priest who's basically a cross between Peter Steele of Type O Negative and Father Jack Hackett from the Father Ted Show. It's about other stuff too. I explain it all a lot better in the project description, so please have a look there. When you say the stuff out loud, it sounds sillier than it actually is. It's a black comedy, but it explores themes like social alienation, corporate greed, and family values. It's also a very British comic, so expect to find a good few cultural references and in-jokes there. This is for fans of comics like The Goon, Tank Girl, Cerebus, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and TV shows like The Young Ones and The League of Gentlemen. So here's the deal. I want to keep F.A.M.I.L.Y. Boys independent and free from editorial interference, and the best way to do this is to self-publish. With this Indiegogo, I aim to raise enough money to pay for the printing and shipping costs to bring you the first two issues of F.A.M.I.L.Y. Boys, containing the boys' origin story, introducing the major themes and characters prevalent in this ongoing series. For your support, you will receive a range of incentives, including print editions of the two comics and work from our already published catalog. So that's my pitch. And if it sounds interesting, please go ahead and back it today. Thank you very much in advance for your support.
Sweet.
Cool.
Out of curiosity, I don't know.
Sounds terrible.
Was that?
It still sounds terrible.
It's just fine. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if you're willing to share, but when you shared with your wife you wanted to do this comic, Was she the type who was kind of skeptical at first, or was she like super supportive and like, go for it, man?
She was supportive, surprisingly. It was just like, how much money is it going to cost to do it? Because that's typically how it works with comics, right? Or indie comics, especially. It's you either best case scenario is typically you break even,
Yeah, yeah.
which is. But yeah, she's been really happy that it's not been like that this time. No, she's very supportive. She was supportive before, but now she's even more supportive. And and for the next one especially, she's keen for me to get cracking on that too. So
What was
so
when you did your own self-published book that was like 175 pages or so?
oh,
Uh,
that wasn't self. That was through a publisher.
that's right.
Yeah.
You didn't work with a publisher for that one. But
Yeah.
when you did that book, were you and her together as well? Or
No, it was just me doing the writing and the art, and the publisher took care of the rest. So they distributed it through Diamond. I did the ads, got it into comic book shops and stuff like that. But
but you did that
yeah,
before you two met, or
no, it was while we were still together. So I guess going through in her mind, it was just like, oh God, you're going to be spending a lot of time doing something. It's just not going to work again. So,
all right?
but yeah, it's different this time. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm real happy with your success on this one. As I mentioned, it seems like whenever I peruse uh, comic book campaigns, there are a lot that never even get funded, unfortunately, even though the quality looks like it's there. Uh, and then those that do get funded seem to, only make around what 3 to 5 thousand. So
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see something that breaks 10 grand, and I'm sure there's going to be more and more of that, especially as people release subsequent books. Because once you get your first book out there, then you have a bit of a name, and once you fulfill,
Yeah,
you develop a good reputation.
it's about the reputation. It's all about the reputation. And I kind of like the fact that I'm creating legacy characters. It'll be Merry Boys going forward for the foreseeable future, because there's just so much that I can do with these characters. They're written in a way that gives them a lot of. You can do a lot of tricks with this pony. So I have a lot of material and I have a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of potential for ideas. So it's geared up to be a long legacy sort of comic book, and the more you build on it, the bigger it kind of becomes. People pick up a later campaign and they find it really interesting, that they're going to want to look for the older stuff. So it kind of perpetuates itself in that way. The trick is never to do a bad comic and always to have good customer relations. Otherwise, you'll poison your own well. Which is one of those things where you are put in the position of a publisher. So you have to look after your IP, you have to look after your customers,
Yeah, yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
trying very hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you take one step forward but 2 steps back.
Yeah. That's it. So it's always going to be passion. It's always going to be like a passion thing for me.
Right on.
I just like I said, like publishers don't care as much about your IP as you do. They definitely like if you're going to be, because a lot of publishers like Image and or like Slave Labor back then, like you know they publish your IP, but it's not their IP. So they promote everything, but they're never going to promote it as hard as you promote your own stuff. They're never going to do as much for your own thing as you do.
Mhm.
And it kind of shows, because I've taken this into my own hands this time, and I've done considerably better than I did than going through a publisher.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no reason to change it.
yeah, it's working out really well. Hey, welcome, Fade Salvation.
Hello.
Good to have
Yeah,
you.
we're running a marathon here today, aren't we?
So, Carl and I have agreed not to eat anymore. We're just going to keep streaming. Yeah.
I need to lose some weight.
We're just
I've actually been I've been training the last while, so getting back into shape. But
there you go.
it's been much.
That or
Yeah.
will slowly deteriorate before your eyes.
We'll just get bigger. I mean, it's like making comic books is just not good for your health. You know,
Yeah.
you're better off shooting heroin. You know, you just sit here all day and languishing in front of the drawing board. You start your back starts ossifying, your muscles start atrophying.
And yeah.
You know, and you just gain a lot of weight. It's not good.
Yeah, that's like, see, oh, hey there.
Beep, beep.
Welcome, People Circus. Good to have you. I'm busy here at the moment, but I'm listening. Hi, all. Yeah, it's weird because when I was a kid, I wanted to go into drawing or cartooning or animation, and then I got the usual story where where your parents say, try and be realistic, find something that you can have a career in. So I pursued electronics technology.
And your dream goes out the door. Yeah, I had that too.
Yeah, put the drawing on the back burner. And
you can always draw in your spare time.
Yeah,
spare time. Yeah, whatever.
keep it as a hobby.
Time.
Yeah, keep it as your hobby. Put it in the back burner. And so I started in electronics. Had a couple really very short-term engineering jobs, and then you might say I got bit by the computer bug because I got a job at Logitech, and once I started getting into computers, it was like, wow, this is cool. And I'd already started learning about computers on the Apple IIe and the IBM 386 PC, and I switched to a career in computers from electronics, and basically been in the computer industry, specifically of all things tech support. And tech support, you're basically working in a cube on the phone all day. So it's a very sedentary kind of position. And now it's one of those things where I want to do less of that. I mean, I still love it to death, but I want to do less of that, and I want to get into comics and explore IPs that I've been sitting on for 30 years. And it's like transitioning from one sedentary job to another, which is kind of funny.
Neither are good for you. Yeah. And,
yeah.
But for a lot of people, I mean, look, I mean, parents say one thing, but there is like a thread of truth in there. How many people make it in comic books? How many people make it in that dream sort of job? On the other hand, you have to be in it to win it. If you don't try, you definitely will never make it. If you try, you might not make it. You probably won't make it. But if you don't try, you definitely won't make it ever. You'll pass through this life without ever tasting that. And that's the thing. And then that's what I feel about it. I'm like, when you reach the end of your life and you're like, what have I done anything I've really, really wanted to do? That's the thing. I want to look back one day and just say, okay, I published the stuff I really wanted to publish.
Yeah.
And I feel satisfied in myself for having to be able to do that. That's very important to me, but your parents don't see that. I think to myself now, as a parent, as a father, if my little boy one day comes to me and says, I don't know, I want to be in a metal band or something, and we're gonna make a lot of money, I'll be like, okay. I want to be a, I don't know, manga artist or something, I'll be like, okay. Or whatever the case is, if it doesn't sound like something somebody would pay for on a day-to-day basis, I want to become an accountant sounds a hell of a lot better, because yes, we use accountants all the time. I want to be a doctor. Yes, we use doctors all the time, and they're known to earn good money. I want to be an electrician.
Yeah.
Fine. We're always going to need electricians, plumbers, doctors, lawyers, whatever. But the other stuff feels more like a flash in the pan. But there's no, and I'm not saying you don't get passionate electricians or builders. I know some passionate electricians and builders who run their own businesses, and that's their thing. They love it. That's their identity. I think it's about identity at the end of the day. They identify as those things. They see themselves as that, and they're more than happy to do that. The problem comes in with you put yourself into something that you don't. You're not Bob the Builder. You're not Alex the accountant, or Louis the lawyer. You're Louis. You're Cecil the comic book artist pretending to be Alex the accountant. So you live this double life, and when you come home, you hate yourself because you're like, shit, I spent another day being something I'm not. And that's where it comes in. That's where then you start thinking about it far too much, and it kind of takes over. And eventually you start acting out, like me. Then you act out, and you start doing comics. You join Comicsgate, and in my case, luckily, it kind of worked out. A lot of people kind of see where I'm coming from, and they feel the same way that I do about my stuff. So, and that's awesome. That's like somebody throwing you a life preserver. There's your dream boat, and you're struggling in the waves. And somebody from the dream boat chucks you that life preserver, and you're holding on to it, and you're like, I might get out of there. I might get onto that dream boat. And that's yeah. I don't have to act like somebody else for that much longer. I can maybe I can see it. I can maybe get onto that boat. I can maybe do it.
It's like you're beholden only to yourself and your customers. You have the opportunity to live your dream, live your passion. And if there's any time to get into the comic book industry or the graphic novel industry, I would say now is definitely the time, because Comicsgate is constantly growing, and there is such a supportive network. And as corny as it sounds, it really, to me, feels like a family environment. Comicsgate as a whole, as well as CG UK, which I love to pieces.
Yeah, awesome. There's definitely a lot of camaraderie because we're up against a common enemy. So we galvanize ourselves against that enemy.
Exactly.
We draw closer together. We support ourselves, and that's awesome. That's awesome to see.
Yeah. Yeah, and granted, every 6 months or so, there seems to be a bout of drama, but we get through it. We get through it in the end. I guess it's kind of, you chalk it up to growing pains. But it's a good thing. It's not some stupid hate group that people claim it is, the SJWs.
Not at all. They pretend like it's literally like a bloody Nazi rally, only comic books. That's what they bloody think it is. It's amazing. I don't understand it. It's literally everybody who's repeating stuff they've read from articles written by people who make stuff up, and they don't want. It's like they don't want to look any further because they like the narrative. They're just it's exactly like the Satanic Panic when it happened, or McCarthyism. The more you can tell these zealots no, that isn't a symbol of a devil. No, it doesn't channel evil spirits through the symbol, and it does not affect the way I think. And the more you tell them that, then the more they distrust you. Because it's you can't ever convince them that there's not something going on. It's just the love. It's almost like a need for conspiracy that they have in this politically charged environment. But I've seen it all before. I'm old enough to know what McCarthyism and the Satanic Panic was. I think maybe a lot of people nowadays don't have that context. They don't realize what people are like in big groups and what they can, how they act when they identify some sort of perceived evil. How they can shut themselves off to evidence to the contrary. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Yeah, so let me see. Matanui says their narrative is all they understand. Cam says it's a need to justify the hatred they started with in the first place. Yeah?
Yeah, nobody likes to admit that they're wrong. So why go digging somewhere that might, you know what I mean? It takes the bigger person. Most people are not bigger people. That's all.
Yeah.
But Sylvie,
Yep.
I think we'll weather this, and I think once it's all over, cheers. No, it's Mrs. Chubb just brought me a glass of water.
Oh, nice. That's awful sweet.
Very supportive. I recommend everybody get a good support network if they want to get into this business.
Oh man, did I just miss something when I was switching windows? Was she on camera briefly? Or did she?
No, she was off camera.
No,
she doesn't like showing her face on camera.
The mysterious stranger.
The benevolent angel, the fulfiller of packages.
Absolutely. Excuse me. So I guess we can wrap this up because I know you need to get something to eat. I should probably get something to eat. I wanted to thank Chubb, aka oh my gosh, excuse me, Karl Stephan, and for spending all this time with us out of his busy schedule. I want to thank every one of you in the audience and anyone who watches this on replay. Karl, would you do the honors and share how you can be found on social media?
Sure. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm MaryBoys, one word, and the number 1, MaryBoys1. That's me. And from there's a link to the sites and all the other social media platforms. But I'm mostly on Twitter. That is my home. It's where I live.
Cool. Do you have plans to develop a YouTube channel further? Maybe do some time-lapse drawings or ink washes?
Yeah, that's been on the cards for a while. I'm an impulsive person. I kind of go with my instincts, and right now I just want to hit the drawing. I just want to make more comics at the moment. Everything I do is like sick. I know that making videos and being a YouTuber is a skill by itself. It's not something that is just supplementary to being a comic book artist. It's something that's freestanding, and we've seen that. Cam, beep. We've seen that they build successful crowdfunding campaigns off the back of their YouTubes. I mean, that is a skill, to entertain, to create good content.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where my talent lies. So whatever I do, it'll just be supplementary to my drawing stuff. So I mean, the obvious thing is just to do recordings of me drawing. I just don't know how interesting people find stuff like that. Some people do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it. It's also the thing. It's the feeling of being watched or being aware of the camera while you're trying to draw something. I don't know how much of an influence that has on me. You know, whether I want to do that.
Right.
So yeah, we see. We look. I've been playing around with different things to do. I want to create content that's going to be worthwhile watching for what I would find really interesting. And we've tried. I mean, we had this thing on TG UK not too long ago where we did like role playing. We had this murder mystery
Oh
night,
yeah,
and I played.
that.
Yeah, did you watch? Did you watch that?
Yeah, that was great.
And I played this monk character, and I was thinking maybe developing that a bit more and doing it like a show, because I've already got this backstory regarding the monk and how he fits into comics and all that. So
Nice.
I want to do that, but it's all secondary to the comics. So I want to. I would feel really silly doing all this stuff and then not getting on with the next Merry Boys book. So I want to get as soon as that feels like it's in the bag, I'll set about promoting it with that stuff.
Cam says I watched the one with Von Klaus.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining, I gotta say.
That was fun. That was loads of fun to do. I mean, when I was thinking, like, my mission at the moment is just to be a better guest when people invite me onto their shows. Doing your own channel is difficult, as I'm sure you know. It's growing it and getting those watch hours up and building interest and stuff. That's a whole new territory. I mean, hats off to people who do all that stuff. Like, okay, Ethan does that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's pretty balls to the wall with this stuff. I can't.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't dedicate all my time to comics, but maybe one day I can, and then I will create, the YouTube channel, the online content, and still have time for a comic book. I hope.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, hail chat. You can find me on Twitter at WyzGyz Tweets, on Twitch at WyzGyz Twitches, on YouTube under WyzGyz Entertainment. Excuse me, which is this channel where you are now. Thank you all so very much for hopping on. Thank you for being here, asking questions. Thanks so much for your support. I'm so forever grateful. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Mark the bell for notifications. Please make sure you also mark all notifications so you make sure you don't miss a video or a stream. And you also see me promoting upcoming streams all the time through Twitter. Also, many special things for Chubb, Karl Stephan, for his generous time and for hanging out and chilling with us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's always a good chat. It's always nice and relaxing.
Definitely welcome you anytime.
Thank you very much.
I'll try and do some more morning stuff so it more lines up with the UK. Good deal.
It's the best. Well, it's the best for me, definitely.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I love the people in the UK and trying to have them on as often as I can as well. So we shall bid you adieu as we go grab something to eat. You all have an awesome day today. Make it a great one. We are ending the broadcast in